we're going to have public input. Public input shall be limited to statements from the public relating to any issues with the jurisdiction of the Chelmsford Zoning Board of Appeals that are not currently the subject of a pending public hearing before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Public comment on any pending public hearings shall only be heard during such public hearings. Is there any public input this evening? Seeing none, we'll move ahead.
There's one.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir, yes?
I'm sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but I'll be speaking against something that's coming up on this agenda tonight.
And that'll be fine, just not at this time.
Not at this time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're going to have an administrative review, but first, I just want to mention that if you are here for 13 Stearns Street, James and Leanne Bergeron, that has been continued till June 1st. We'll do that formally when we get to it on the agenda, but I didn't want you hanging around. But that's it. That was a continuance we got today, so we couldn't give advance notice. First matter is an administrative review, 73 Dalton Road, Edward B. Bell Estates. It's a 40B comprehensive permit. They are requesting a modification to said permit to reduce the number of affordable housing units to one bedroom unit. The affordable housing rental rate is to remain at 80%. Someone here to speak this evening?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, David Plunkett, representing the Edward B. Bell Estates Development LLC. I believe that there was an email sent to correction that it's to change it to not a one bedroom but to one two-bedroom unit. So, and that has been conveyed to DHCD, and we have had discussion with DHDC with Alana Murphy and her assistant. We have submitted regulatory use agreement, red line regulatory use agreement, try to get this matter moving forward. This is a situation where, due to, significant cost factors relative to the development of the site, and with the two units, which should effectively be 40% of the development, we're looking to have this accepted as a change to one two-bedroom unit rather than two units out of the five.
Is that, so the two is both Dalton and Carlisle Street?
Yeah, so both Dalton and Carlisle Street would be a two-bedroom unit.
And was that how we advertised it?
It's an administrative appeal, it was just
We don't
added
have
to the
this.
agenda,
Okay, so that's fine.
based on what I saw
So
on the
one
letter.
two-bedroom unit. I mean, I don't know, are there any questions? Comments?
Can I jump in, Mr. Chairman?
I'd love if you did, sir.
Certainly. So this is an attempt to bring, with regards to the 73 Dalton, this is part of an attempt to bring that particular property into compliance with the comprehensive permit that was issued. The building has been constructed and occupied. It shouldn't have been occupied because they have not gone through the final approval process with DHCD. That process includes executing all of the regulatory documents necessary for the units to count on the town's subsidized housing inventory. As you may recall, a rental development, you get to count all of the units, not just the ones that are actually restricted as affordable. And because this is a rental, you can either do 25% of the units at 80% area median income, or you can do 20% of the units at 50% area median income. So I just want to point out there is a mistake in this request where it says that the affordable rent rate is to remain at 80%. It cannot remain at 80%. They will not be able to get final approval if they remain at 80%, because then that takes it below the threshold allowed under Chapter 40B, unless you're doing it at a 50% area median income rate. In which case, the one affordable unit would be 20% of the units, and it would be allowed as long as it's at 50% area median income. And I would note that the number of units and the affordability issues are really a matter for the subsidizing agency, more so than the board. So I would review this as being an insubstantial change. I think that, you want to make sure that whatever decision you're making makes it clear that it's one unit at 50% area median income. And I think that it would be wise to include condition requiring that in all other aspects, the project comply with the existing comprehensive permit. But other than that, I think this is an insubstantial change.
Okay. So being an insubstantial change, we could approve it tonight.
Correct.
As opposed to asking for,
Correct. I don't see any basis for requiring a public hearing on this.
and Ms. Blank, you understand that the 50% is acceptable to you?
The discussion with the DHCD was, we did discuss it with Ms. Murphy and the Rako, her assistant, but that was based upon the cost analysis, we were looking for it to be at the 80% still rather than the 50%, but that's.
I'm not aware of any provision that allows a 40B project to be at less than 25% affordability
Yeah.
unless it's priced at 50% area median income. So,
I did print that out if you'd like it.
Yeah. That's,
This is out of the book.
yeah.
40B.
Okay. If you have that to take, certainly, and where this is a administrative action, we can certainly, discuss further as well. But, if we get,
so did you want to hold off on having the board make a determination at this point in time until you have the opportunity to provide some evidence from DHCD that they're okay with this at 80% area median income and only 20% of the units being affordable? Because I've never heard of a 40B
Right.
project
I mean,
being
would it be
allowed to do that.
possible to take the change as presented by the board with the understand that if we get this further verification from DHCD, we could come back again as an administrative matter to further adjust?
I mean, that's fine. If you want to approve it at 50% with a notation that if they come back with evidence from the subsidizing agency that they're fine with,
They'd accept
20% at 80% area median income, I'm fine with that. But unless we get that assurance, we would not be able to count all of the units on our subsidized housing inventory.
Okay. I have no letters with this, correct?
Were there any other agreements with them before
No.
today, as far as what was gonna be affordable, how many units?
Yeah, the comprehensive permit has been completed.
It has
and
been.
states that
Okay.
it would be
2 out of 5.
two, I don't think it specified the bedrooms, but it would be 2 units. And this is going to repeat itself when we go to 61 Carlisle Street, to be clear, so it's just,
Right.
It's
So
gonna
the
apply to
original
both, I
permit was for
believe.
2 affordable units at 80% area median
Okay,
income.
for the-
And I think the reason that it was done that way was the applicant was unaware that there is a provision under Chapter 40B where you can do 20% of the units as affordable at 50% area median income on a rental only. That's an option that's not available on a home ownership development.
Okay.
okay. I'm going to open this up to the public now. We are going to look at the same review on 61 Carlisle Street, but if we could just consider these for 73 Dalton Road. If anyone would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application, now's the time. Seeing none, I have a motion to close the public hearing?
It's not a public hearing, it's
Not
just an
at all.
administrative
Oh, so we
meeting.
don't even take
Administrative review.
testimony?
You don't have to, but you are allowed to.
All right. I didn't know it was a crowd. I didn't know who was coming for what.
When we first approved all of these, weren't we saying that we wanted the more bedrooms? Because I just vaguely remember saying that we wanted more units that have like 2 or 3, and we already have a lot of 1.
I did look at
Am I
the permit. I
remembering
don't think it
that correctly?
specified number of bedrooms in the application. I didn't see that.
I can go back and look.
We are indicating, a 2-bedroom for each of these
So they'll
projects.
all be 2 bedrooms.
Oh, no, for the affordable
Oh,
unit.
okay,
yeah,
okay.
The affordable unit would be a 2-bedroom.
Was it 2 one-bedrooms to start?
I think so.
I didn't see it in the permit. I didn't see it, so I
Doesn't
don't
say,
know.
seem to say it in any of the literature.
Right.
It's
That's what I
right
was
in
asking.
here. They did give us the permit.
You
here.
probably just would need to review the architectural plans, Mr. Chairman.
If you have two at 80, what it was originally, that means you lose 40. If you have one at 50, you lose 50. So you lose more at one at 50, correct? Money.
Oh, which is the,
No, because the way that the formula works, eligibility for the unit is based on 50% area median income, and the pricing is based on a formula that factors in somebody that's making 50% of area median income, spending no more than 30% of their income on housing. That's
Well,
how the
I'm-
price is set.
Right, I was talking about at full value. They lose 50% of full value if you have one unit at 50%.
But it's not. The difference between the market rate price and the affordable price is not a 50% difference. It's whatever the calculation comes out at, based on 50% area median income or 80%, it's probably
So, yeah. we did-
a few $100 per
Yeah.
month. It's not
That's at 19.
major.
Not major.
They're definitely in a better position
Two out of the
having only
But at
one
84,
affordable
it
unit
says,
and having
Page
that
is that?
fourth
Two-
unit be a
two-bedroom
market rate unit,
affordable
because the
units.
market rate rent, can be much higher. The spread between the 50 and the 80 isn't gonna be
Oh, 6 or
significantly
20.
Thank you.
different.
In the,
Okay, In the comprehensive permit that we approved,
There we go. I have it up on the screen.
A4 allows that the project shall consist of two two-bedroom affordable units and three one-bedroom market rate units for a total of 7 bedrooms. So we did approve two two-bedroom affordable units.
So that's what was built, so that's what they have right now, and they're just trying to change the,
The number of affordable units, but when you swap out from 80% to 50%, the cost of that single two-bedroom unit would go down
Yeah.
for a value for the owner. They wouldn't be able to charge as much money.
But what does
I mean, I
that,
think there'd be a savings there probably, but.
what does that do for our town numbers?
It doesn't
Nothing,
change it, because
because
it's
it's a
rental, you get to
rental.
count 100%, so
Okay.
you get to count all 5 units.
Okay.
Question?
Yes.
it just maybe is a learning moment. In the past, has the fact that it hasn't proven to be as profitable to build it, a acceptable excuse to change it?
I think in the diligence, they have to prove that it is believed to be profitable. Things change, of course, but I think in the diligence, when this is done, they approve it based on that there will be a profit to be made. They don't want units that are, you're not gonna build it if you can't make money.
So if you say no, it's already built.
Correct. They-
It's not like if it wasn't built and you said no, then the builder could say, I'm not gonna build it because I can't make any money. But where it's already built,
That's a
it
difficult
wouldn't seem that
stance.
he doesn't have the leverage.
I think we're only deciding tonight whether it's a substantial
Right, so yeah, I was gonna
insubstantial
try to clarify that.
change.
There's
We're not
two-
actually voting to approve or not, that's the housing.
Right.
Right, there's
EAC.
two inflection points here. The first is your determination as to whether the modification is substantial or insubstantial, and that doesn't take into account the economic impacts of what's being proposed. And in this instance, again, because the issue of affordability of units is an issue for the subsidizing agency rather than for the board, and if the subsidizing agency approves it, then ultimately the board really doesn't get any say. I think that this is an insubstantial change. If this were an issue that was really going to something within the purview of the board, and you wanted to make a determination that it was a substantial change, then part of your analysis would be whether or not this particular modification makes the project substantially less uneconomic than the project as originally approved. And because this is a rental, you're not just looking at construction costs, but also ongoing operation costs and operating profit. So the fact that it's already been constructed wouldn't necessarily answer that question. It, would be part of the the analysis, but it wouldn't be the be-all, end-all.
So I guess we're gonna vote to decide if this is a substantial or insubstantial first. And the wording of that motion would include, I would think, the 50% change as well.
Correct, with the caveat that they may come back and provide evidence that the subsidizing agency has approved the one unit to be affordable at 80% area median income.
Okay,
And then you also.
50%.
No, at 80%. So they're going to go back to the subsidizing agency to attempt to get confirmation that the subsidizing agency will approve that one unit at 80% area median income rather than 50%.
Okay.
I'm not aware of that ever having been done, so I'm a little skeptical. But if they come back and the subsidizing agency has approved it, then we still get to count all 5 units as affordable. And again, it's really an issue outside of the board's purview because the subsidizing agency.
We just don't get to decide. We don't get to-
Subsidizing agency controls on issues of affordability.
Should they decide that first before we vote?
We also have a mandate for time when this
Correct,
is
you have
applied.
20
so I
days
think it
to
would be
make
wise
your
to
determination as to whether it's
not
substantial
extend
or
that. I
insubstantial.
don't think we should.
Correct.
So we can vote that it's insubstantial, which is Mr. Haverty's belief. I can see that being his point. And then we could word the motion such that if he goes back and provides evidence that the authority is gonna let them do that, then we'd hear it again and approve it. Well, we're still in, are we actually voting on it?
Yes,
Or just the substantial, unsubstantial?
you're voting on whether it's a substantial or insubstantial change, but that determination can come with conditions.
Okay, okay.
And again, one of the conditions should be that they otherwise are compliant with all other conditions of the comprehensive permit.
One hell of a motion.
It's too bad he can't just say it, right?
There's a lot of numbers and percentages and compliance and, wow.
You want to try it?
Does someone like to make a motion?
Not unless I'm gonna get a raise.
You can double it this year. Does someone want to try to make a motion?
I think Glenn's looking like he's ready.
All right, I'll try. I will make a motion to find that 73 Dalton Road, 40B comprehensive permit modification to 1 2-bedroom unit is not a substantial change to the permit, taking into consideration that the 1 unit will be at 50% area median income, and it can go to 80% upon the applicant providing evidence of the committee approving that and all other conditions as outlined in the initial permit. Okay?
The only thing I would change is from the committee to Department of Housing and Community Development.
Okay.
You
With
couldn't
that.
answer.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. I think we need Glenn.
Glenn, are you in or you're not?
We need you to vote on this one.
I thought you had 5.
No.
You're
You're
number five.
number
Char-
5.
Charlie walked away.
Charlie left.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
And our second administrative review is very similar, 61 Carlisle Street, Thomas Marshall Estates, a 40B comprehensive permit requesting modification to said permit to reduce the number of affordable housing units to 1 2-bedroom unit. The affordable housing rental rate is to remain at 80%. I think we're looking at the exact same process. I will ask if anyone in the audience would like to speak in favor or opposition to this administrative review.
Mr. Chairman, just for the record, David Plunkett again.
Thank you.
And it is basically the exact same scenario as so it's the duplicate of what was administrative review number 1. So all the same arguments and discussion would be exactly the same.
Just let it read exactly the same. Is there discussion on 61 Carlisle Street regarding this? Seeing none, I'd look for a motion. Want to read it right off there, so it's the same motion? Do we have to do
Is
that?
it written?
Get the committee
I-
right this
I
time.
didn't get it
I know,
all.
I don't even
That's
know.
like
What's the
the-
committee?
oh,
Okay, you'll take it
looking
off
at
the
it on
tape.
video, yeah,
Department of
I'll be
Housing Committee.
You have any of it? No?
transcribing from the video.
Oh, me? Okay. I will make a motion to approve the modification to 61 Carlisle Street, 40B comprehensive permit to reduce the number of affordable housing units to 1 two-bedroom unit at 50% of the area median income or 80% if the applicant provides evidence from the Department of
Housing and Community
of
Development.
Housing and Community Development, and all other requirements as outlined in the permit.
I'll second.
Second by Peter. All in favor? All right, unanimous?
Thank you very much.
Have a good night. We have a new public hearing, 36 Bartlett Street, William Harvey III, requesting a special permit under Section 195.5 use regulations in accordance with Section 195.13, conversion of dwelling units, to convert a single-family dwelling existing prior to 1938 to a two-family dwelling and other relief deemed necessary. Property is located in the RB District, parcel ID map 84, block 348, lot 7. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, again, members of the board. David Plunkett, representing William Harvey, relative to this request for a conversion of dwelling units. This is pursuant to Section 195.13, which says that such a conversion is permitted, provided there's a determination of 4 distinct matters that is set forth in the bylaw unit. Those items are that the dwelling existed prior to 1938. The lot contains a minimum of 1,500 square feet. That the exterior design of the dwelling is not changed from the character of a single-family dwelling. At least 600 square feet shall be provided for each dwelling unit. In the material that was provided to the board, there's a reference to each of those criteria and how this application meets that criteria. Excuse me. First, indication that, the information provided was that the dwelling has been in existence since 1903, so certainly meets the first criteria of existed prior to 1938. Second, relative to the minimum of 15,000 square feet, the plan of land shows that this parcel actually contains 68,382 square feet, or 1.57 acres, meeting criteria number 2. The issue of the exterior design will not be changed from the character of a single-family dwelling. The package shows that there's not going to be any change to the exterior, that it's already set up with multiple entries and exits to the building as it currently exists, that there will be no change to the exterior, so it's going to remain as it looks today. And the last, that the applicant has provided that at least 600 square feet will be in each of the resultant dwelling units, and there is the chart that shows the square footage for each of the units that will result from this conversion as allowed under the bylaw, and those square feet are 1,984 square feet for one unit and 910 square feet for the second unit. So again, the criteria to be determined is that it exceeds at least 600 square feet. So it does meet that criteria. So each of the 4 requirements for the board to make a determination of, you have the information in the package to show compliance with each of those criteria, which then indicates pursuant to the bylaw that such a conversion is permitted upon the determination of meeting that criteria. Excuse me.
We don't, we have stamp plans for the lot, but we don't have stamp plans for the home to define the square footage?
There's the breakdown of, I don't think that the bylaw requires a stamp plan relative to that. We have the layout, not only with the total of the square footage for each unit, there's a breakdown of each room in terms of size, and it's consistent with what you would have on your assessors map in terms of the layout of the building. So it's a fairly large unit, but you do have a breakdown of each room that is comprised, that each unit is comprised of, with a dimensional layout of each room, and then the tally of those different rooms and the square footage of each room and the total square footage. And again, it's not a situation where it's even really close in that 1984 and the 910 as opposed to a requirement of 600.
Are there any questions from the board this time?
Nope.
Yes, Carl.
Does it have any bearing on the town's moratorium on sewage? Meaning, is there more bedrooms that impacts it?
There are comment, we did receive a comment letter. I don't believe it does. I don't believe it does.
I will read all the letters in at this time, but I'll start with the engineering. Dear members, this office has renewed the project application, plans, and documents submitted to the DPW on April 25th, 2023, for the following public hearing notice on May 4th, 2023. 36 Bartlett Street, William L. Harvey III, requesting a special permit under 195.5, use regulations A4, in accordance with section 195.13, conversion of a dwelling unit to convert a single-family dwelling existing to prior to 1938 into a two-family dwelling and other relief deemed necessary. As a result of this review, this office has the following comments. Sewer records indicate this property has only one sewer stub and paid only one betterment. The connection is a gravity connection. A homeowner's agreement must be reached in that both residents will be sharing a single lateral connection to the gravity sewer line on Bartlett Street. They would bypass the fee as well with that, Paul?
Are you asking me that question?
I am, I'm not, I've never come up against it.
I think that would be a question that would have to be answered by the DPW.
I have a letter from the Chelmsford Fire Department. Dear members of the board, this office has reviewed the proposed convert of 36 Bartlett Street to a two-family dwelling and finds the following. The entire home shall be upgraded to comply with the latest edition of the Massachusetts State Building Code for smoke, heat, and carbon monoxide detectors. The proponent shall submit plans to review to the Fire Prevention Office via the Town of Chelmsford online permitting portal. All smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors required shall be marked on the plans prior to submission for review. The applicant shall make the application for addresses to the Chelmsford E 911 Committee and Town Coordinator, Tricia Druez. This office would approve this plan with these conditions, and I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully, Danielle Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. I have a letter from the Chelmsford Water District. Dear board members, the Chelmsford Center Water District is concerned with the proposed construction of a dwelling at this site. A representative for the project should contact Chelmsford Water District. Once the contractor has met us, reviewed, and accepted our requirements, we will forward you a signed approval letter to you. In addition, the Board of Water Commissioners, upon approval of the proposed project, will request the following 4 bullets be part of your order of conditions. The project shall be built to the current rules and regulations found on the district website. Water is for domestic use only. Water-saving devices should be utilized throughout the facility. Xeris landscape should be implemented to minimize water usage. Brandon Cantana, Distribution Manager, Chelmsford Water District. I have a letter from Jose Negron, the Building Commissioner. Dear Mr. Harvey, please accept this letter. It is a denial to your proposed two-family conversion at the above regarded address. The home sits on an RB district, and the two-family dwellings are not permissible by right as per the table and use regulations. You can apply for a special permit under 195-13, conversion of dwelling units. I encourage you to appeal my decision to the Board of Appeals within 30 days of receiving this notice. Thank you. Respectfully, Jose Negron. And that's just the application. The police have no comments. The Board of Health has no comments. And that is the extent of my letters. Any comments on the letters? So the Water Department is a little concerning for approval tonight. I think they should have permission before we approve, but I don't know. Everyone else feels the same.
They should. Can you state your concern again?
They just want they want to have an agreement with them before they send their approval.
Okay, so if we were to make a decision, could we make the decision contingent on that, or would we have to wait until that happens in order to?
I don't know what would change. I mean, either way, it wouldn't be in force, it wouldn't be in effect. I don't think we couldn't, but I don't know what would be the reason to approve it contingent upon getting approval, if they ask for approval.
They're not gonna get an agreement now, because it's not a 2 yet, right? So you have to wait until they make it 2, and then when they do that, then they have to get the approval.
I thought I understood they were asking, yes, please.
Mr. Chairman, I haven't seen those, but the reality is, really, nothing's really changing there. It's already, the way it's set up now, there's not going to be any significant change other than the area will now be, that's already set up the way it is with the doors and access and everything else, so nothing is going to change. Again, the building commissioner made reference to the provision to apply for the special permit, which is what we're here under, in the specific requirements of the determination by the board, particular to that bylaw, which was referenced in the letter. And, if there's something that an ancillary, provider says, oh, we want, some other type of homeowners, agreement, we can certainly deal with them, but that's not part of the bylaw relative to, enter into homeowners agreements or things of that sort. It says, you know, four
Right, but as
criteria.
our diligence, we do ask the
Yeah.
town departments
Sure.
to weigh in.
Yeah.
And to reiterate, a representative for the project should contact the Chelmsford Water District. Once the contractor has met with us, reviewed and accepted our requirements, we will forward a signed approval letter to you.
Okay.
In addition, the Board of Water Commissions, upon approval of the proposed project, would request the following 4 bullets as part of your order of conditions. So they are asking for approval before we approve. I don't know the circumstances, I just am reading the letter. You're welcome to read it.
I will forward electronic copies to you.
Okay, all right. Well,
They were just received.
when is your next meeting?
June
June
1st.
1st.
You know, again, I obviously, I haven't had any discussion with them or,
I mean, they're pretty specific.
yeah. Well, you'll send that to me,
Yes.
and,
Okay, and we'll keep that for the file. If there are no more questions from the board, I'll open this to public comment. Someone like to speak, and it looks like maybe several, just please line at the podium, give your name and address, and voice any concerns or approval of the project as you see it.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Hill. I reside at 39 Bartlett Street here in Chelmsford. I'm here tonight to speak against the special permit because I want to preserve the character and landscape of this single-family neighborhood on Bartlett Street. My wife and I moved here 4 years ago and loved seeing these older grand homes all along Bartlett Street and the landscapes of their properties. We reside diagonally across from 36 Bartlett Street. I understand and appreciate the board taking into consideration the information that is presented to them before making their final decision. I spoke with a few neighbors after receiving the abutters notice and went to town hall to review the paperwork. The neighbors I spoke with were also concerned about this change. It did not want to see it happen. I wrote a petition letter against having Mr. Harvey changing his home to a 2-family dwelling. And I went to every home on Bartlett Street except for Mr. Harvey's to see if the neighbors on the street would be in agreement and sign the petition against this change. I submitted the sheet with our signatures to the Zoning Board of Appeals office prior to this meeting. I am against this change because of a couple of main concerns. The first concern is if this appeal is passed, Mr. Harvey is going to rent out one or both of the apartments from this conversion, and I'm wondering how he's going to address the parking situation. Mr. Harvey had a woman living at his house this past year or more, and I would find that this woman was parked sometimes in the driveway, sometimes on the lawn, but quite often more out on the street next to the stone wall on his property, because Mr. Harvey's work vehicle was utilized in that driveway. This is not normally seen on Bartlett Street, as vehicles are mainly parked in the driveways of their residences. I was told by another neighbor whom spoke with this woman, and she stated to her that she was renting this apartment out, the back apartment of Mr. Harvey's home, but this woman has since moved out. Mr. Harvey has taken down a number of trees on his property, and I'm wondering if this is just a prelude to an asphalt parking lot appearing in his yard to accommodate additional parking if this appeal is granted. I am also concerned about the upkeep of the home and landscaping if this conversion happens, as he has already done very little to keep his property up. And if he has no intentions on staying, will he let the property lapse even further if he will not be residing on the property? I can only go by looking at the way he maintains his property at 47 Boston Road. It is an unsightly, unappealing appearance, especially for the neighbors, I guess, whom have to view it on a daily basis. Mr. Harvey purchased this property on Boston Road back in May of 2019, tore down the trees on the lot, and here it is 4 years later, and there's no appearance of any work being done to it. I believe Mr. Harvey is a planner, and this is only conjecture on my part, but I believe he never had any intention of living at 36 Bartlett Street, but did the purchase to possibly separate the land at some point and to tie into the lot on Boston Road, since the two lots have boundaries that meet. This special permit states that the lot size needs to be at least 15,000 square feet, and 36 Bartlett sits on 1.57 acres. We have found Mr. Harvey has a history of purchasing homes and keeping them as single-family homes or turning them into multi-dwelling apartments, as he did on Carlisle Street and North Road at Dalton Road, to name a few in town. My last concern I have is there are 34 single-family homes on Bartlett Street. Out of those homes, 50% were built by 1937 and could possibly qualify for the special permit process too, as they have the lot size and the home size to qualify. I utilized the town's Vision Government Solutions webpage to look up all the houses and to gather the information on them for the petition. I supplied a separate sheet of paper to the Zoning Board of Appeals office when I dropped off the signed petition list showing the 17 homes that includes 36 Bartlett Street. If the board approves this permit, it may set a precedent for approval of other current or future homeowners seeking to create two-family dwellings. I believe this could lead to additional changes in the character and landscape of the neighborhood, such as more cars per home that could cause cars to be parked out on the street during the day or overnight. It could also lead to less lawn and treed areas and more asphalt parking lots popping up to accommodate these additional vehicles. There are already additional apartments coming into the town center area, so I do not see allowing this appeal to go through will help anybody out but Mr. Harvey. Finally, Bartlett Street is unlike the other streets or roads I have mentioned. It is not a cut-through street or a heavily traveled, and has a great majority of traffic, and a great majority of the traffic is from the people who live on the street. It is one of the oldest streets in town, and it is reminiscent of times long ago that seemed to disappear quickly due to poor vision and planning by the townspeople, and builders. Please do take into consideration the comments made tonight before making your final decision and the possible impacts that may occur from that decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Deborah Hill. I live at 39 Bartlett Street, and I'm actually reading a letter from a neighbor who cannot be here. She is Maureen Pellegrini from 29 Bartlett Street. To the Zoning Board of Appeals, thank you for giving me the opportunity to express my deepest concerns for the proposal to allow 36 Bartlett Street to transition to a two-family home. I apologize that I am unable to attend the meeting as I am out of the country. My husband David and I raised our two children in Chelmsford and have lived on Bartlett Street just shy of 30 years. 10 years at 37 Bartlett Street and 20 years at 29 Bartlett Street. As you can tell, we are very committed to our neighborhood. We have also been fortunate enough to have a business in town for that amount of time, first renting on Kidder Road and then purchasing land and building an office on Industrial Road. As you can imagine, we have seen many changes on Bartlett Street over 30 years. Older neighbors have moved out, younger families moved in, ranch homes became two-story colonials, even some lots have been broken up into new homes built. It is with great appreciation that each of those homes have kept the integrity of the neighborhood, which is now known for its larger, older homes with well-maintained yards and gardens. A two-family home is a concern for several reasons. I believe it is a slippery slope that could set a precedent for other larger homes to begin to break into smaller units. If we allow 36 Bartlett to become a multifamily, what is going to stop other requests in the future? Although just off the center, most of Bartlett Street's homes are set back with relatively large lawns in the front. Homes with multiple units require larger parking areas for cars. Mr. Harvey has transitioned several older homes in Chelmsford, keeping the original exterior of the building, however dramatically changing the landscape of the home, for a lack of a better term, installing parking lots next to the houses. The homes on the corner of Dalton and North Road are both a good example of having parking lots versus driveways. As it is, parking is already an issue at 36 Bartlett, with the car usually parked on the street out front. Older homes are a labor of love. We do not know if Mr. Harvey is going to continue to live on the property, or choose to have two rental units or even two condo units. An older home is a challenge for renters to keep up with the maintenance, both internally and externally, and even if it is the landlord's responsibility to maintain the home, it only stands that rental units are not kept up with the same amount of care as one's personal home. Another grave concern is that Mr. Harvey owns property at 47 Boston Road, the Parkhurst House. That has a buildable lot and abuts his current home at 36 Bartlett Street. It is my understanding that the special permit requires a minimum of 15,000 square foot lot, and 36 Bartlett has approximately 1.6 acres. Again, referring to the properties on the corner of Dalton and North Street, where additional parking structures were added to the backyard. Is this just the beginning of the build-out? Will he go on and try and separate a portion of 36 Bartlett Street to the Boston Road property, and therefore possibly having a Bartlett Street open to Boston Road? 36 Bartlett Street has a beautiful wooded lot and gardens in the back of the house abutting the Boston Road land. I believe we should be much more intentional about our gorgeous old trees. They are a treasure and should not be so easily destroyed. Many trees have been removed already by Mr. Harvey, many from the front of the home, some of them very close to the street, that did provide a welcoming canopy and aesthetic for the entire neighborhood. Again, it is very special to live in a true family neighborhood that is walking distance to town but still feels separate and is surrounded by gardens and trees. It would be a great loss to all our neighbors, but I do believe a loss to the town as well. I do appreciate that we need more housing and believe that it is being addressed with the multiple projects that have been completed and are in process directly in the town center. As I mentioned at the beginning of my letter, my husband and I have a home and a business in Chelmsford, but not in the same place. A two-family home is a business decision, not a neighborhood improvement choice. For the reasons above and more that I am not eloquent enough to explain, I strongly oppose the request for the special permit and hope that the town, in their wisdom, will agree. Bartlett Street is one of the oldest streets in town. It provides a small window into the history of Chelmsford. We should be extremely thoughtful about the impact that approving this special permit would have on the entire community. Best regards, Maureen Pellegrini, 29 Bartlett Street. And again, I'm Deborah Hill at 39 Bartlett Street, and I also oppose this special permit.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I am Sarah Gabriel Sullivan. I reside at 43 Bartlett Street. Tonight I'm actually reading a letter from my parents who could not be here tonight. They are the owners of 43 Bartlett Street. As the owners of 43 Bartlett Street, I'm writing to the Zoning Board of Appeals this evening with what I consider to be an important and sensitive topic as you decide on Mr. Harvey's request for the special permit for 36 Bartlett Street. My wife and I purchased 43 Bartlett Street in 1975 and continue to maintain residency 48 years later. We consider ourselves fortunate to have moved into a beautiful tree-lined street of many homes in a residential area within walking distance of the library and town center. We are happy to have been able to enjoy our home over these many years and raise 2 children that have also benefited from the Bartlett Street sense of community and friendship. We are now happy to welcome many new neighbors with young children, and these families have purchased single-family homes on Bartlett Street for the same reason we did many years ago: the quiet, calm, and sense of community of a strictly residential single-family neighborhood. As a chance to grow friendships that last a lifetime, it is wonderful to watch the next generation of children on Bartlett Street walk, ride bikes, and all play together as my children once did. If Mr. Harvey wants to develop multifamily homes and apartments, he should do so in other areas of Chelmsford that are already zoned for such residences. It is important that the zoning board deny this request tonight and maintain the history and integrity of streets like Bartlett Street, where families can purchase a single-family home, raise their children in a strictly residential community, in a place where they can establish long-time roots as we have done so. Please do not allow Mr. Harvey to change this. Regards, Nicholas Gabriel, 43 Bartlett Street. Now, as living at 43 Bartlett Street as well with my 2 small children, I will also oppose this change being made. The integrity of the street and the quiet neighborhood are extremely important to myself, as the children are all outside playing at all times and just do not want something like that to change with the traffic flow and pattern on the street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board member. My name is Vera. My husband and I, my husband's over there, we live on 68 Bartlett Street. When we were house hunting back in 2016, we fell in love with Bartlett Street and its neighborhood. During the 6.5 years, we saw people moving out and people moving in to the new on our street. So, and these people moving out, they have been living on the street for years and years, and I heard 30 years, even over 40 years. So the new folks move in, drawn to the neighborhood for the similar reasons. They love Bartlett Street, and we love Bartlett Street. We are pleased to see the new homes being built, and houses have been renovated and upgraded. Bartlett Street is a very unique street. My purpose here today is to preserve the historic features of the street and the center village area, to save the integrity of the street, keeping all single-family home. And we would very much like to keep the home the same way that they are. It is clear that when Mr. Harvey purchased 36 Bartlett Street house on December 24, 2020, he had an agenda in his mind. He is a contractor. He's an investor. He wants to split the house to 2 and make money and fill his bank account. This is not the street you want to change for your benefit, Mr. Harvey. It is inconsistent with the other residents on both Bartlett Street and adjoined High Street, and I oppose this act. So, dear board member, please do not allow this to happen and change the Bartlett Street landscape forever. Bartlett Street is a very unique street. It is our desire to keep the street and houses the way that they are. So no change, please. Single home it should be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Hutchinson. My wife Ashley Hillier and I own 42 Bartlett Street, which is directly next to the house we're talking about and overlooks it. I'm opposed to the special permit. I think it would be a problem to start changing into rental properties on our street. We moved to this street, I think it was 11 or 12 years ago, for the reason that it was all single-family homes and not rentals like it had been at our previous neighborhood. I'm concerned about where development on this property could lead, given the disaster zone that's behind my house on Boston Road. And I have concerns about the individual owner and their trustworthiness and their way of doing business as well. So I'm opposed to this, and I hope that you'll vote to not allow.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Simon Long. I am the owner of 37 Bartlett Street, directly across from 36 Bartlett. Thank you to the zoning board for notifying the community about the special permit request and giving the community the opportunity to voice our concern. I am against this special permit to convert 36 Bartlett from a one-family to a two-family lot. A lot of my concerns, if the special permit is granted, was already mentioned by previous speakers, such as changing the landscape of the property to accommodate additional parking for another family or tenants, in addition to the potential future development plans by Mr. Harvey for the property, since he owns an adjacent property to 36 Bartlett. I fear once this special permit is granted, this can be a slippery slope into a path in which we cannot return from that can dramatically change the atmosphere of Bartlett Street. I have additional concerns which was already brought up by previous speakers, so I will not take up additional time in repeating these concerns, but would like to echo all these concerns from previous speakers. I ask the zoning board committee to please take these all into great consideration before voting on this special permit. The result of this vote will greatly impact not just us homes surrounding 36 Bartlett, but also the residents on the street, as proven by the signatures on the petition. This will also greatly impact the residents on adjacent streets and numerous other folks in the community who frequent our street for strolls enjoying the atmosphere and charm of Bartlett Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, Board. My name is Carrie Ives. I'm the homeowner at 22 Bartlett Street with my husband, John Fisher, who's here. I don't have a long speech for you. I really just want to say that I am also opposed to this petition, and I echo what has been said here already. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, my name is John O'Keefe. I live at 57 Bartlett Street. I resided there for 27 years. And again, I don't need to restate what has already been stated. I think they stated it very eloquently. And I too voice my objection to this petition, and hope you'll vote it down. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Board, my name is Brian Bestfader. I am a resident at 54 Boston Road, so directly across the road from 47 Boston that Mr. Harvey purchased, as was mentioned in 2019, stripped and has done nothing with. I'm here with my wife. Other residents in our area have concerns as well. Mostly because of the abutment of the two properties that was not lost on us and raised great concerns of what might happen also on Boston Road. So we oppose this. We don't live on Bartlett Street, but we do walk in the area very, very often, and would not want to see its character changed at all. So would encourage you to deny this. I agree that this creates a slippery slope that I don't know where it goes, but I don't think it would be good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening to the board. My name's Ken Gallick, and I'm at 61 Bartlett Street. I too would oppose this motion by Mr. Harvey to recharacterize the property from a single to two-family property. Uniquely, the property is right on the hill. As you're coming down to the stop sign, and with any extra parking on the street, it could pose a possible danger to anybody walking on the street with cars in the street and people coming around from High Street. It could pose a possible hazard for anybody walking or vehicle traffic. In addition, I would make the argument that Mr. Harvey is not being prejudiced if this permit was denied. When he purchased the property, he knew exactly what he was purchasing. He was purchasing a single-family home on the property, and now seeking to convert something based on the current zoning rules. Further, if you look at what would appear based on, the maps and prior testimony here, this might be a further plan to merge all the properties into a much larger development. And what could, be further coming down to this board, what other type of special permits may be asked. This is a single-family neighborhood, both here and on Boston Road. And when Mr. Harvey purchased, it was a single family, and I think everybody's asking that it remain such. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Mark Dupel, 63 Bartlett Street. I just wanted to shift gears a little bit. I don't want to get into the zoning part. Through you, Mr. Chairman, I would like you to ask Mr. Harvey's attorney if they plan on getting a building permit for this conversion.
Mr. Plunkett, could you tell us if you plan on getting a building permit for this?
Mr. Harvey will do whatever is required by the town. Same as, the application is consistent with what is allowed under the town bylaw. I'm not here to get into argument about personality or to, that's something it's not appropriate for discussion before the board, and the only issue that we're here for is that we have the provision that is referenced, we have the conditions that are referenced. That's a right to use your land in accordance to with what the bylaw allows, and that's all we're looking for. So, but, whatever, if the town requires something, then you'll be done as the town requires.
Thank you. Just display the kitchen.
He didn't explain why. You might want
Can
to
I
ask
ask you one more
about that.
question? We're just looking at a couple photographs of the kitchen. Is this, was received by Mr. Harvey today? Do you know why he brought this to us?
Mr. Harvey sent an email today
Yeah.
with an additional exhibit, which shows an additional kitchen. It looks like I don't know if it's the main house or if it's,
I think that was
Accessory
just something that it has been in existence since the 1950s, or I forget when the house was built, 1928 or
1903.
1903, so.
he sent it as an additional exhibit but didn't specify what it was in terms of the photos
I
that
think
he
it's just
sent.
an existing, part of the structure as it currently exists, and he feels is traced back to when it was first built.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, the only reason I brought that up is because there seems to be a lot of talk about the existing apartment. Regardless if the apartment was existing, it's a single-family home. If they plan to turn it into a two-family home, there's going to be a building permit required, which requires fire separation. And I just want it in the record, just as the fire department's requirements are in the record, please. Thank you.
Thank you. If you want to approach the podium, you're welcome to. I'm going to have to ask you to approach the podium. Sorry.
Hello. Paula Flamia. My husband and family live at 48 Bartlett Street. I want to support all of my neighbors in everything that they've said. I agree with everything, and I'm against this conversion. But my question was, I just wanted to ask, it was mentioned that he's rented it already. Is that allowed?
I don't have any evidence to that. But that's not what we do. I don't know if he rented it. I don't know if he had a guess. I don't know anything. We're not here for that. I'm
Yes.
sorry. I mean,
Yes, okay. Just wondering if he sort of went ahead already and was acting as a two-family. That's all my concern is.
Yeah, I really, we don't do that.
Okay, thank
The
you.
building inspector, but you could go see him during his hours and.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a question.
Would you like to comment further?
Just to wrap it,
Good evening, Julie Ackley. I'm here with my husband Glenn, 84 Bartlett Street. I moved into 84 Bartlett Street in 1972 with my parents as a teenager. Came back in 1999 and purchased the home, not from my parents, from the people they sold it to. And we've been back in residence since 1999. I just want to state that we both, my husband and I, disagree with this converting number 36 into a two-family dwelling for all the reasons that have been previously stated. So would hope that you would take that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just, to finish my presentation is, this isn't about personality. This is about the bylaws as established by the town of Chelmsford. The bylaw is specific. It says that this type of conversion is allowed, provided these 4 criteria are present. And the 4 criteria as established by the town in the creation of that bylaw has been presented and is in existence, and therefore the property is allowed to be utilized, pursuant to the terms of the bylaw that this application has come in under. As I say, I'm not going to get into, argument over, personalities or anything else. It's, your property. You have to comply with the terms. The bylaws establish how you may use your property, what the criteria is, and everyone has the same rights. Everyone has the same rights. It's not, okay, this will apply to you provided somebody likes you. That's not the way it's set up. So it's, again, we've presented the package which shows the compliance with the 4 criteria as set forth in the bylaw, and the bylaw says that this type of conversion is allowed, is permitted, provided those 4 are present. And just say that we have conformed with, shown the conformance with the requirements of the bylaw, and we request approval.
Thank you. Any other public comment at this time? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, again, I'm Deborah Hill from 39 Bartlett Street, and I'd just like to say that my opposition has nothing to do with who is doing this change, that currently, over the last year or more, we have seen cars parked on the street from this property. They currently don't manage parking well. If it's a 2-family dwelling, I'm concerned that the parking will not be managed well. And in order to remedy that, are they going to be doing additional paving? I know it says that you're not supposed to change the building, but they're likely going to be changing the landscape, which will affect the neighborhood. And it has nothing to do with personality or whether I like the owner. It's just what he's doing, what his plans are.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement that we're going to wait and see what the water department says? I think it's important because if not, we can close the public hearing, but if so, then we would leave it open until next month.
I think we should definitely keep it open to
Okay.
hear from the water.
And if that's the case, we'll continue it for a month. So if that's what we probably would accept a motion to do that, leaving the public hearing open and continue it to hear from the water department. Would you be able in a month to get someone there to talk with the water department and understand their needs and get their approval letter?
We'll be in touch with the water department and see what it is that they're looking for and make sure that we address whatever concerns they have.
Okay, and I think Becky has emailed you a copy of their letter.
Not yet, I will.
You will, okay.
Is Paul, are you gonna be here?
I've already put it into my calendar.
Is
Mr.
there
Chairman,
anything-
can I offer a
Yes, I'd
few
appreciate
points
it.
before you close for tonight? Section 195-13 deals with conversion of dwelling units, and it does have 4 criteria in there. Those criteria are applicable to as-of-right conversions and to conversions allowed via special permit. This is a conversion that's allowed via special permit, so you then also have to take a look at the special permit criteria, which is contained in chapter 195-103. So that criteria is also applicable and should be reviewed both by the applicant and by the neighbors, because that's the standard for which any decision issued by the board will be judged. And again, this is a special permit. It's a discretionary permit on behalf of the Board of Appeals, which means that the board's decision would not be overturned by a court unless it was based on legally untenable grounds or was arbitrary and capricious. Right? So you need to make sure that whatever decision you're making is based upon this special permit criteria and not exterior concerns such as prior bad acts by the applicant. Again, there is case law that states that that is not a legitimate basis for denying a special permit application. So that's not something you can take into account. It needs to be based upon the factors that are set forth in the bylaw and the factors that are present on the property currently.
Okay. We will read up on those. That being said, could I get a motion to continue the public hearing at 36 Bartlett Street to June 1st?
Make a motion to continue 36 Bartlett Street to June 1st.
Second?
Second by Stephen. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's see if we can find Charlie. Wake him up.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
See if we can.
Well, can I ask you again for the special permit, yep,
195-103.
dash 103?
Mm-hmm. Is that right, Paul?
Correct.
I didn't mean to speak for you.
That's okay.
I just jotted it down.
The crowd was, because I hadn't been here in a while, but
They all missed you.
apparently, there was another, I thought the crowd was here for me because I hadn't been here last month.
Oh,
but,
your fans are here.
how was it out there?
Say, Charlie, we could have used you for a story, that's for sure.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, our next
Mm-hmm. 3 Summit.
application is 3 Summit Ave. Robert and Christina Fagala requesting a variance under section 19511, accessory buildings and structures, and any other relief deemed necessary to install an in-ground swimming pool located in the front yard area. The property is a corner lot with two frontages, is located in the RB district, as Assessor's Parcel ID, map 101, block 357, lot 9. Good evening.
Good evening. Mr. Chairman, Board, thank you for having us tonight. We had come in about 2 months ago and had a discussion with the board at that point, showed some plans that we had and wanted to get a kind of a straw poll from the board as to what your thoughts were on the design that we had. The issue that we're running into is that the pool would be placed on the, technically we're on a corner lot, so the pool would be placed on the front yard, even though it really looks like the side yard of our house. And we had sent pictures in before. I have actually more documentation if you want. I can pass that out. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So just to remind everybody, this was, when we had come earlier, it's kind of a very unique lot. It's a very unique setup with the land. I provided a bunch of pictures here that you can kind of see. What you're looking at, that first picture is from the summit side, which is our actual address side of the house. That's the driveway. And the place that we want to put the pool is on the right side of the house, which is on the Robin Hill Road side. And that was an issue as far as being able to do it. But if, you can see from the photos, it's kind of the perfect spot to put something like that, and it's very unintrusive to the neighbors that are actually across the street from the house. Again, here's another picture of the yard where the pool would go, Summit Ave, Robin Hill Road. More pictures, Summit Ave, Robin Hill Road. There's the side yard looking out, and there's Robin Hill Road in between us and our neighbor's house. There's a deck on that side of the house. We had talked about that in the last meeting, and the fact that that overlooks the yard that where we're looking to put the pool. More pictures from that. This is the side deck looking down Robin Hill Road, kind of toward our other left side neighbor, which you can see is 150 plus feet away at least. And then this is the front of our house, this next picture, and this is the area that we were talking about last time. If you look at the lot, it's very unique, and this is kind of the front of the house, but it's really the side of the house, so that's where we kind of left it at the last meeting. We did update the design from the last meeting, and Becky, I did not send this to you, but at the last meeting, there was a straw poll, which all seemed positive. No changes were requested by the board. We did make a few minor changes to actually increase the distance to our lot line. So we had talked about a hot tub. We moved that from the side of the pool to the end of the pool, which is now farther away from the lot line. And then the pool size was reduced from 20 by 40 to 18 by 36, which resulted in an increase of 15 feet to 18 feet from the lot line. So those weren't requested by you guys, but we did make some adjustments there just to get a couple more feet of distance. That next slide is actually the new approved. This one I did send to Becky, and this is approved by the surveyor, or was done by the surveyor.
Yes, we have that too.
So as you can see, the pool structure is 18 feet, and actually the water's edge of the pool is 21 feet from the lot line. And you can see even from the lot line on the Robin Hill Road side, there's a good distance between Robin Hill Road and our lot line, which is jogging in, but that's really just town land. There's no neighbor there. And then in the last meeting, I did give a few examples. An example at Dalton Road where somebody had constructed a 19 by 36 in-ground pool with insufficient front yard setback, kind of a similar situation. And the board did approve that. They brought the 40-foot setback down to 18.6 feet, which is basically the same as what we're asking for. Pool size, roughly the same, 19 by 36. I added some pictures of that And you can see Dalton Road, Sylvan, kind of a corner lot, and they ended up putting the pool on Sylvan Road in their quote-unquote front yard, which would be their side yard, I'm sure. And then 8 Lady Slipper Lane, again, very similar situation, construct a swimming pool in front yard with insufficient front yard setback pursuant to section 19511, which is what we were having issues with. And just to say, I mean, we are planning, obviously, this proposal, but there will be a large fence around the pool. Nobody from the street will be able to see into the yard. It'll be landscaped nicely around the outside of the fence. I don't see any major issues from a visibility side of things, so.
Thank you. I guess I have a couple letters here that I'll read. Are you on sewer? And I don't know if you know, were you living there when they removed your septic? Do you know if the tank has been removed?
Tank is still there.
It is there. So they mentioned that in the engineering report.
Yep.
Utilizing the tank?
No, that'll be taken out.
That'll be taken out, okay. I'll read the whole letter, but I did pre-read it. Dear members, this office has reviewed the public application, project application, plans and documents submitted to the DPW on April 25th, 2023 for the following public hearing notice on May 4th, 2023. 3 Summit Avenue, Robert and Christine Fragula, requesting a variance under section 19511, accessory buildings and structures, and any other relief deemed necessary to install an in-ground swimming pool located within the front yard area. The property is a corner lot with 2 frontages and located in the RB district as assessors parcels map 101, block 357, lot 9. As a result of the review, the office has the following comments. The proposed swimming pool is located with 6 inches plus or minus of a septic tank according to sewer records. Care should be taken when excavating. Location of the septic tank should be confirmed with the Board of Health prior to digging. Contain all sediment on site. Erosion control should be installed down the slope. The street should be swept and cleaned from construction dust debris daily. Installing and maintain a construction entrance. Install and maintain clean silt sacks in each of the catch basins located in the front of the property, located on Summit Avenue, and any neighboring streets that could be impacted by construction, sediment, and erosion activities. I have a denial letter from the Town of Chelmsford Building Department, Jose Negron. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Fragula, as per protocol, as per my interpretation of 19511 accessory buildings, which per such section, accessory building or structures are not permitted in front yards, understanding the Board of Appeals will grant you the okay to proceed into your in-ground pool at your corner lot. This notice is for documentation purposes. Please make the application to the Board of Appeals within 30 days of receiving this notice to appeal my interpretation. Respectfully, Jose Negron. I have a letter from the
Water district.
the Water
No
District,
comments.
I'm sorry, with no comments. I have a letter from the Fire Prevention Office with no comments, which is nice, because their letters are very long. I have a letter from the Board of Health with no comments, and a letter from the police with no comments. So, yeah, just make sure you take that tank out.
It'll come out. Yep.
And I'll forward you a copy of that letter from DPW.
Okay.
Any questions from the board regarding this? Was everyone there for the original?
I was.
Okay.
Oh, I wasn't.
So they came before us and
And
presented
2 months
this,
ago?
I think
Yes,
that's
March.
correct.
2 months, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
I
pretty much
missed
the
it.
same situation, we just sort of talked about it before they, applied officially.
Can I ask my questions?
Absolutely.
Why do you want to put it in the front yard?
So if you look at our lot,
It's not our front yard.
yeah.
They have a corner lot.
But
Right, I understand.
It-
Because I went by the house.
Oh, okay.
So in our mind, it's a non-conforming. We have land behind the house,
Right.
but that land is actually really in our neighbor's front yard, where their front door is, and that would be where our front door would be coming out. So it really, wouldn't work for us. There's no way we're gonna be walking out our front door and then into our neighbor's front yard and having a pool in their front yard, which is, to us, ridiculous when we have this land. It's perfectly capable of being set up for this. So it really is, I mean, we feel the lot is an issue. And that's the issue with where, I mean, if you look at that picture right there, to me, I mean, you're picturing a fence right along that side. There's gonna be a pool inside that fence, and I don't think anything changes as far as what the neighbors would be concerned about.
And last time, did we determine that there was, I think, ledge in that area in the front of your house? Was there?
We talked about ledge, and we talked about that there is a well in the front yard as well.
And that is our front yard, and our neighbor's front yard, and our other neighbor's backyard. So this actually has no direct neighbors touching the backyard, whereas the front
Well-
yard, there's 3 houses. Ours, so that's our front door on Summit. So it's on the opposite side.
That's on the uphill side of Summit.
So to put a pool out on that side wouldn't be doable for us. We just wouldn't do it. And you can see the walk. I'll point that out to them. So the walk on the front. So there's the driveway coming in.
So you come in, you walk to the front door, it's right here.
There's your front door.
And so this is our front yard, and this is, where we want to put the pool. And our address is 3 Summit, whereas we're not a Robin Hill address.
I actually drove around town and I said, what if this person had a pool in their front yard? It's not gonna work, it's not gonna work. And like, this is like one of the only houses where a pool in the front yard, kinda could work.
Well, we talked about in the last meeting, there's actually, there's several houses in town that have this similar situation. And the board has approved this in the past, many times. So, I mean, there's at least 4 that I know of that have a similar situation to this. And that the board had approved it for the same reasons.
I'm pulling up the locust map for you, Charlie.
Yeah.
So their front door, because the house was built on the side, is actually over here.
Yeah, this is one.
And there's a well.
This is our neighbor's front door, and this is the other neighbor's backyard. So to put a pool here would essentially be front yard, backyard. Whereas here, there's a street, and a street that is keeping the neighbors away. We plan to put an 8-foot fence on the Summit Ave side and a 6-foot fence on the Robin Hill side, because the Robin Hill side is sloped up, so it's already naturally higher. So it'll definitely be very private.
You almost can't see it now when you drive by, and it's that way.
When the trees are,
Is the fence going where the existing fence is, or you're gonna have a?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There'll be a little bit of a push out.
into the driveway side.
Yeah, into the driveway side, which is, that's still a 63-foot gap. There's gonna be a fence that comes out just maybe another 3 or 4 feet from where this fence is. And then, again, around this, where the existing fence is, you can see in this picture, we may push out a couple more feet.
So we don't want to lose much of our driveway.
No, we're not planning on doing much beyond a few feet on the fence side. So it really will look similar to what it is now, except it'll be a solid fence and a pool inside.
And they actually used to, that was our original fence when we bought the house in 2006. It was a solid fence.
Yeah.
But
Further questions?
Yeah, just one more. The pools in the front yard, you think that decreases the value of the home by any means?
So I think, again, we don't really see it as the front yard. It's a strange lot.
I know you don't, but we do.
Okay.
I do.
I don't.
I don't know, my daughter says if we get
I
a pool,
do.
she wants to have a house after we die. So I don't think we're selling.
But I think from that from that side of the house, it really it's if you drive by the house, it is kind of an odd look. But I mean, it definitely you're driving into where the garage is. I mean, you can see it on this very front
It
picture.
functions as the backyard.
It really
And
does.
then we have like a
We have soccer
net
nets back there, and we have
swing set back there.
Yeah, I mean, that's where
When we
we,
first bought the house, there was a hot tub back there.
and it's close for the kids, it's close to the house, you can walk in and out, there's a bathroom right there, so that's where everything goes. To put it on the other side would make no sense.
Yeah, and we have a deck, as you can see. I took the picture from the deck, so that's the deck overlooking the backyard.
And looking at the tenants, I think we can certainly argue lot shape and topography and soil conditions. I think all three are met in some fashion.
And as far as we're aware, that's where our septic tank is where our pool is planning to go. So
Yeah.
We're gonna take that out and.
That's why it's all graded up nice, that's all.
Yeah,
it's
just
all
pop
about.
one out and put the other one in.
Where's the lot shape issue? What's the shape of the lot?
Let me pull it out for you. There you go.
I don't think.
A little unique.
I don't think lot shape does it.
Yeah, it's not rectangular, but it's not a pizza slice either. It's
I mean, I think it all comes together as part of a puzzle, but I wouldn't want a pool in the front yard of the neighbor. And that's the effect of that lot shape, that land is there. I mean, I'm not saying that's the only thing, but I think it's a factor. I think the fact that it has frontage on two sides is also an effect of lot shape. I think that's part of the math with that.
And the well that's there, you use currently?
Yep.
Yeah.
We never converted to town well.
Yeah.
That's right,
Okay.
that was the other factor.
And the well, I believe the well is kind of,
The well's in.
Yeah, where is the well?
Wow, this is
Right around
sensitive.
here.
Yeah, it is.
it's south farthest,
Over here more?
yeah, right where the hand is, yeah.
Well, that's about the well. So if you said, put it close to the front door, to go farther back, you're really gonna be encroaching on your neighbor and,
The
and,
water
you know, and your
Well.
neighbors.
Yeah, yeah, we wouldn't do it. I mean,
Yeah.
if that was your decision, we
Then
would,
we would just not get a
we
pool.
wouldn't do it. There's just no way. I mean, it would be a 50 foot, 60 foot walk to even get to the pool from the front yard.
Someone made a determination that the house, that it's on Summit, gave it a address on Summit. Doesn't that define it as that's the front side?
I'm not sure how it works when they lay it out, but I do know the driveway is there, and I believe that's your address. And I think with the topography of that, so if they couldn't put the address on Summit, on Robin Hill, because it's very steep, it's probably 8 feet, it's probably 45 degrees at the very start of it.
It is, yep.
So, again, the lot shape or the topography is an effect of that. Because if they said, oh, we want to go and appeal for an address change, you still couldn't put your driveway
No,
on Robin Hill.
no.
And that would be topography.
Right.
Even if it said, now we want to live on Robin Hill, however that process, I don't even know how that would work, but if you did, it would still be the frontage anyways, it wouldn't change, so.
But it's defined as the backyard right now.
The house is
Just by
built,
the ad-
so
just
it's
by
the
the address.
backyard. The function of the house is the backyard. The front entrance is on the side of the property, but it is off of Summit.
I think Jose wants to speak.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to, if you don't mind, can I comment?
I
on this
appreciate
matter?
your input.
Thank you. This is a corner lot, so corner lots do not have side yards. So, like the applicant stated, there are other similar houses with pools in similar locations. To their benefit or on their behalf, the address on 3 Summit is the address, is the actual address. So that part of Robin Hill is really another front yard because
Yes.
it doesn't have any side yard. It's not considered a side yard. And they, as per this attachment that they provided to us, there are other houses that got a special permit for very similar in-ground pools, just like this one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll mull this for a minute. We want to look for some public input. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application tonight? Seeing none, mulling time is over.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second. All in favor?
All right.
And the 5 voting members will be myself, Charlie, Nancy, Steve, and Peter.
Can Charlie be voting member? He wasn't here the last time.
It wasn't a public hearing last time. It was an informal
It's simply
discussion.
informational.
No comments? Sure.
I have no concerns myself. I think it's why we're here, honestly. I think the justification is accurate. I think we're using at least one of the tenants. And I don't see the harm. I don't see the visible issue anyways. I don't think if you drove by, you'd know there was a pool unless someone was standing in front of it, which you would notice if it was in the backyard anyways, you know, it's gonna have a fence, it's gonna be enclosed, it's good use of the space. It works the way the house was built. I don't see a negative to it myself.
I agree.
I agree as well, so nothing, no other comments.
All right, I'll make a
Motion in
motion.
there somewhere.
I'll make a motion to approve 3 Summit Avenue, requesting a variance under 19511 to install an in-ground swimming pool located within the front yard area in consideration of the letters read. Finding that
Second by Peter.
The whole hardship with the property, shape, topography, all of the criteria.
Can I ask one question? The setback,
We've actually closed the
Okay.
public hearing. So as it sits, it would remain at this point.
so the picture is good?
Yeah, the stamp plan is the way it would be
Gotcha.
built. I have a second from
Maybe
Peter?
a second.
All in favor? Aye.
I'll vote
Opposed?
against.
4-1?
You're opposed?
Yes.
4-1?
4-1.
Supermajority?
It
It passes?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
I'm confused by this one. That's okay. That's okay. Our next public hearing is 6 Doral Drive. Jayesh and Purvi Master requesting a special permit under section 195-8, nonconformity, and/or 195-9B conformity for a 20% reduction in the front setback requirement to build a 28 by 28 foot attached 2-story garage and a 4-foot by 10-foot 2-story entryway addition and any other relief deemed necessary. This property is located in the RB District, parcel ID map 29, block 104, lot 7. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Kenneth Laney of Cornerstone Land Associates, representing the Masters this evening. They're also with us in the audience, should you wish to ask them any questions. As you had stated, we're before you tonight to receive a special permit to allow the Masters to expand their home. They're looking to add a 28 by 28 garage addition with a second floor, as well as dress out the front of their house to make it look a little bit more street curb appeal type of addition. A very similar home across the street had conducted an addition almost exactly the same as what they're doing here on this particular property. The house itself sits at 38 feet off the front yard setback, which is already a pre-existing non-conforming issue for the front yard. We're asking to allow the special permit under section 195-9 with the 20% reduction, which would allow up to 32 feet, and we're just requesting up to 34 feet for this particular application. The reason for the location of the garage and not being able to actually relocate it a little bit farther back on the lot, the parcel is bounded to the rear by Moore's Canal, which is a perennial stream. That comes with its own set of setbacks. It's a 100-foot riparian zone, which theoretically is a no-touch zone, and a 200-foot riparian zone where the Masters are only allowed to disturb up to 5,000 square feet in that area. In this particular case, pushing that garage any more to the rear would require us to also get closer to the bordering vegetated wetlands that runs along the, I believe it's the west side of the house, that has a drainage swale that collects all of the runoff from Doral Drive, as well as a stream that runs through the entire subdivision. We are currently proposing the structure to be approximately, let me pull up the plan here for you. It is going to be over the 50-foot requirement. for the setback distance of the, I'm sorry, over the 35-foot, no structure setback to the wetlands. In addition to that, we're also adding some much-needed drainage that would allow any runoff or snow melt from the existing driveway to be treated and infiltrated into the ground prior to running into that adjacent stream. We believe that this application would need to meet the 4 requirements of the subsection B of 195.9. The first being that the developed reduction in dimensional requirements of site design would be more suitable for the lot, we believe, because of the resource area restrictions on the property with the wetlands and the riverfront area, that by relocating this structure any further back than we're proposing, it would have impacts on those areas. That no adjacent properties would be adversely affected. We don't believe that this addition, be it that their closest neighbor is on that side of their structure, on the other side of a wetland and stream, would have any adverse effect. And as I stated, some homes in the neighborhood have all done similar additions for garages and dressing up the front of their homes. Thirdly, that the reduced dimensions would not be detrimental to the public good and not substantially deviate from the intent of the bylaw. Again, we feel that the addition adding to the curb appeal of the structure will increase the value of the home with the addition of the garage as well. And therefore would not deviate from the bylaw. And last, that any lot reduced under this section would not be further reduced or subdivided. In this particular case, this is, I believe, the master's home for life. I don't think they're looking to make any other modifications or changes. And we're hoping that the board will see favorably upon this application and provide us an approval this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have a
Any
stamped
questions
plan?
from the board at this time?
Yes, just for the record, the initial PDF that was uploaded was not stamped because I had asked for a revision in the dimensional table down below to include both the required dimensional
existing?
setbacks versus existing versus proposed, just to make it more clear for everyone. So Ken did submit that, it just wasn't stamped at the time, but he has since brought it into the office, and that's actually the one I have up on the board. I'll actually zoom out so you can see that it is stamped.
Excellent.
Yep. Here we go.
Have you been to
You're
conservation?
welcome.
We do know, it is Tuesday night.
Okay.
So
Just
we're,
curious.
thank you.
I think you're taking the appropriate steps to minimize that.
Thank you, sir.
You have some letters?
Yep, here we go.
Reading the letters, this is from Jose Negron. Dear Mr. and Mrs. Master, your proposed addition and setback reduction request will be heard by the Board of Appeals on May 4th, 2023 at 7 p.m. You don't meet the frontage and you need a special permit. Please submit this letter with your application as part of the document requirements within 30 days of receiving this notice. I have a message from, a letter from engineering. Dear members, this office has reviewed the project application, plans, and documents submitted to the DPW on April 25th, 2023 for the following public hearing notice on May 4th, 2023, 6 Doral Drive. As a result of the review, this office has the following comments. Proposed garage addition is located within 6 inches of a sewer lateral serving the back of the house. Care should be taken when excavating the foundation. If the sewer needs to be moved, a licensed contractor will be required through DPW to pull the sewer and trench permits. 2, install and maintain clean silt sacks and any catch basins in the front of the property on Doral Drive. 3, contain all sediment on site. 4, erosion control should be installed on the downslope. The Conservation Commission approval required if in the wetlands. 5, the street should be swept and cleaned from the construction dust. 6, install and maintain a construction entrance. I have a letter from Chelmsford Fire Prevention regarding 6 Doral Drive. Dear members of the board, this office has reviewed the proposed for addition at 6 Doral Drive and finds the following. The entire home, existing and new construction, shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51, the standard for new construction at the time of application for a building permit. The home shall have hardwired interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. The applicant shall upload a plan showing all life safety devices to their building permit application. This office would approve of this addition with these conditions, and I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Danielle Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. I have a letter from the police department with no comments. I have a letter from the Chelmsford Water District with no comments. And I have a letter from the Board of Health with no comments. That is the end of my letters. Any questions from the board regarding the letters or other concerns at this time? Seeing none, I'm going to open it up to public comment. If anyone would like to speak in favor or opposition to this application, now is the time. Seeing none.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second by Steve. Nancy? What a gentleman. All in favor?
Aye.
I think we can take this up at this time.
I think so. I'd like to make a motion to approve 6 Doral Drive under section 195-8, nonconformity, and 195-9B. Approve it with all the letters written in as done, and how do we word that? They take it,
Letters read in.
all the letters read in to approve it.
I second.
Have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much. You guys have a great night.
You too. Nice to have you back in the good luck section there, too.
It's been too long.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Take care. We have a continued public hearing, 11 Old Middlesex Turnpike, Kalpesh and Kinjal Patel requesting a special permit under section 195-9 conformity and/or section 195-8 nonconformity for exceeding the maximum building coverage, floor area ratio, and the front setback requirement. Any other relief that may be deemed necessary to construct 2 additions to an existing single-family dwelling. This property is located in the RB district. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, council. Pete Nicosia, I'm the attorney for the applicant, Kalpesh and Kinjal Patel, who are here for this property. I have a very brief role. Brian Dunn from MBL Land Development is the engineer who devised the plan set that's going to go over those specifics with you right now. There's a little bit of an anomaly, which we'll have to talk about after the presentation. We submitted the special permit application, which you see before you. Since that time, we received a supplemental letter from the building commissioner speaking to the application, indicating that he felt the breadth of the approval that we have to receive from this board was not only the special permit application, which we presented to you, but apparently a modification of an older special permit that affects this property back in 2017 as it relates to enlargement of the front porch. So I had a preliminary discussion with Becky about this, about how to be most efficient in approaching the board to deal with that issue. You know, whether or not it requires a separate modification application, or whether or not the discretion and authority of the board under the way the matter was advertised affords the board the discretion and authority to sort of approve the special permit and also embrace the modification of the prior permit that's on record. So I guess that will have to be a discussion we'll have at some point this evening. But before we get there, I'd like to have Brian Dunn go through the plans and explain the project and answer any questions that you might have, and then we can address that kind of legal issue afterwards.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this a continuation from last month?
I think it was open. We didn't.
Open to continue.
We didn't take any testimony.
Okay, so I'm good.
So you good?
Yes, yes. There's
You
no,
know,
there's no
I'm good
Mullins.
too.
Yeah, everyone's, we didn't have any testimony.
Oh, okay.
Good evening.
All set, Mr. Chairman?
I think so.
Okay. For the record, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, Brian Dunn with MBL Land Development and Permitting with offices at 5 Bristol Drive in southeastern Massachusetts. Yes, I'm a little bit out of my realm this evening, but we do a lot of work in Billerica, Tewksbury, and northern Massachusetts as well, so.
Well, welcome. You
Thank
finally
you
got
for-
to a good town.
Thank you very much for having us. I like the historic nature. This used to be a junior high, as Charles has explained
I
to
think
me while I
Charlie-
was out in the hallway.
He went to school.
He said he
here.
went to school here, so,
Few detentions, yeah.
yeah,
a lot of
we talked about
detentions.
that, right?
Yeah.
Did 1 year here.
But not in this room. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I have some smaller plans I'd like to hand out
Sure.
that are colored for members of the board.
Thank you. Do you have one for the file? That'd be great. Thank you. That helps.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I think that's the last one. That's all I have. But I have some black and white ones.
We can share. I'm a good sharer.
We have the black and white. Sorry about that. So if can I get up to the board here?
Absolutely.
Great. Okay, so we did an existing condition survey, property line, plan. You can see the limits of the cul-de-sac and the lot itself. And underneath the darker line is where the existing house deck is and the existing house itself, driveway, the porch that's already existing, non-conforming. In this area here, you can see the front setback here of the cul-de-sac for the street for Old Middlesex Turnpike. And on top of that, they gave you the color plan. The lighter tan is the existing building, which comes up into this area here. And then the proposed building is in the darker area. Yeah, thank you. So that's where the building addition is going to be. So it's roughly about 7,110 square feet of building. So we're asking for that this house to be able to be constructed in this area, on top of the other features of the building. We did provide, from the architect, the floor area ratios in detail. We updated our table, which we do have required and proposed. And you can see, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, we are asking for, as a part of the special permit, the building lot coverage from 15% to 21.4%, and the maximum floor area ratio, which is at 0.2, and we are currently at 0.32. So all of the other existing utilities will remain. The rest of the building, as we proposed on our site plan, meets the intent of the bylaw in regards to front, side, and rear setback. And we will not exceed the maximum number of stories. Mr. Chairman, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you.
And the setback is going to the paper cul-de-sac, is that correct?
Yeah, so it's technically it's part of the right-of-way, but it's not it's really not a constructed full cul-de-sac. So if you want.
Give you the frontage you require.
Right, exactly. So that's where the lot frontage is really coming from, is off of the cul-de-sac. So you can see by the existing conditions plan that we provided, Mr. Chairman, that the driveway really goes through the cul-de-sac with no, full radius of a turnaround like a regular cul-de-sac would have if this was constructed as part of a subdivision many years ago. So I'm not sure why the cul-de-sac wasn't fully completed, but it is part
Yeah,
of.
I think it was simply to get the frontage needed to create the lot. That was the technique back in the
Right.
day. I don't know if that's why, but I would assume that was it.
Yeah, we do that when we're planning, if we're doing a subdivision and we think that we're gonna go past the property line,
And
we put a
continue.
cul-de-sac there, and then we keep an easement at the end of the cul-de-sac, and then the wings of the cul-de-sac go to the houses on the side, and the roadway goes through.
Right.
So, but in this case, you can see that the lot frontage was created by this.
Created by the cul-de-sac.
By the cul-de-sac, yes, sir.
Yep.
So we're looking for this special permit to be approved for the Patels to continue to utilize the home and their family to utilize this home. Yes, it is a large house, but I think that if you looked at some of the houses in the neighborhood, there are larger houses like this in the neighborhood. I didn't go down to the realm of, determining which ones were over the ratio or not. But if you looked at some of the aerial mapping of this area or went by this area, you know it better than I do, because this is your town. But you could see that there are several larger homes that are this style in this neighborhood. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
We also note that there are 25 residents to oppose us tonight, which we.
That was a lot, boy. Are there any questions from the board regarding the application at this time?
Have we checked the overflow room for residents in opposition? Because
No, we haven't. We haven't. The other room. Open that door. See this door.
Right.
All right, so I'll read the letters.
Yeah.
This is a revised letter from Jose Negron. Dear Sir, Madam, please accept this letter as a denial of your proposed addition. You are over 1.2 ratio for the FAR and 6.4 over for the lot coverage. You also, but that does fall within the special permit. You will also need modification to the special permit issued in 2017 for the front porch as you are enlarging it. You'll need a special permit from the Board of Appeals. Please make application to the Board of Appeals within 30 days of receiving this notice to appeal this decision. Thank you. Jose Negron, Building Commissioner. I have a letter from Engineering, Christine Clancy. Dear members, this office has reviewed the project application, plans, and documents submitted to the DPW on March 24th, 2023 for the following public hearing notice on April 6, 2023, 11 Old Middlesex Turnpike. As a result of this review, this office has the following comments. General comments. DPW Engineering has no comments for the special permit under Section 195 nonconformity and/or Section 195.8 nonconformity. Comments for consideration. 1, erosion control should be required on the downhill slope and must retain sediment on site and must be installed prior to earthwork. 2, drawing sheet does not indicate the distance between the existing structure and the new pool. Distance between home, pool, and fencing surrounding the pool should be indicated in the drawing set. 3, strong consideration should be made for on-site drainage in addition to roof drains to stormwater drainage designs plans for property. 4, if the sewer line needs to be altered in any way, sewer and trench permits will need to be pulled from the DPW by a licensed contractor. Inspections to be coordinated with the DPW staff 48 hours prior to the work being done. Letter from the Fire Prevention Office, 11 Old Middlesex Turnpike. This office has reviewed the proposal for an addition at 11 Old Middlesex Turnpike and finds the following. The entire home, existing and new construction, shall be equipped with life safety systems as required by 780 CMR 51, standard for new construction at the time of application for a building permit. The home shall have hardwired, interconnected smoke, carbon monoxide, and heat detectors in all required locations. The applicant shall upload a plan showing all life safety devices to the building permit application. All fire protection systems shall comply with NFPA 72, 2019, and all other applicable codes. This office would approve of this addition with these conditions. I ask that the board make this letter part of their approval process. Respectfully submitted, Danielle Kostafis, Captain, Chelmsford Fire Department. What, do we have a trigger for residential for sprinklers? There's not one.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, it's not really for residential, it's a square foot area requirement. Usually it's around, I think it's 7,500 square feet, but since the home is a lot larger than normal, and that's probably why they're looking for that.
Well, they're not looking for a sprinkler. I'm just asking the question because
Okay.
7,000 feet.
There is a requirement if you exceed 14,200 square feet.
Oh, so it's less than that. Okay. Just curious. It wasn't written. I have a letter from the building department again with no comments. See the attached letter. And I have no comments from Chelmsford Water. And that is the extent of my letters. Which I'll give back so I do not get in trouble. Are there any questions at this point from the board? Seeing none, I'm going to ask if anyone in the audience has questions or concerns regarding this application, for or against? Seeing none, do we want to close the public hearing?
Before you do that, Mr. Chairman.
Oh,
I
we
just
can
wanted to-
address this.
I just wanted to bring up that same issue again, and maybe the board could solicit input from town council procedurally, how we should address Building Commissioner Negron's most recent comment about the older special permit. I guess I share the view that the way the matter was advertised and the breadth of the application, that perhaps there is a legal pathway for the board to embrace in its decision a modification of that prior special permit as part of this approval process, but you'll probably want to seek some guidance from town council on that issue.
Did the ad say other, as deemed necessary?
Yes, it did.
That little verbiage that we put in there.
Yep. Any other relief that may be deemed necessary.
Yeah, so in the ad, it did say the setback requirement and any other relief that may be deemed necessary. So we're gonna still end up with a special permit, should this pass.
Correct.
And it would increase, how many feet is the front coming out from what it is now? We have
What's the increase on the front
33.9.
porch side?
So it's, the distance from the
Of the
frontage?
setback change.
Yeah,
Well, the setback is, the only thing that would be further encroaching would be the steps for a porch. Everything else is still the same limits of the porch with inside that setback.
but it is a covered stairs or just covered porch?
It was just a covered porch, not the stairs.
The stairs are open, exposed, so that really doesn't apply to our setback, is
So
that
we
correct?
go back to a previous discussion we had on another address in which town council brought the special permit modification when a special permit was already granted in this case, for the stairs, for the porch. Based on what the town council mentioned back when we were discussing, I believe it was 72 Parkerville, that if a special permit was already issued to create a structure, if they wanted to enlarge it or add to it, they will have to modify that special permit. Town council can't put input into the matter.
I think that matter involved a variance, didn't it? It's not-
Right, this is special permit. and remains a
But that being said, I think that the advertisement that was made for this particular matter was broad enough to encompass this, so
This
that there was
change.
notice. Yeah, as I recall, that the other matter, they came in for a special permit, and it wasn't advertised for a variance. And what they needed to do was modify the variance.
Right. But we're arguing the lesser of the special permit.
Well, you've given notice that the special permit for the work that's been proposed is going to be sought and heard as part of your hearing process. So I think that you do have the authority to consider the previous special permit and make any modification, or simply to note that the current decision is superseding a previously issued special permit. You can
I'd agree.
Just put
approach
that
it
in the
either way.
verbiage of the,
And may I just add for clarification, the special permit that we're speaking of was not for the residence itself, it was for the add-on of a farmer's porch. So they received a special permit for the existing farmer's porch.
oh, it was the entire, I didn't even
It-
see that porch, yeah, okay.
So it's the existing porch in the front of the
Mr. Chairman,
house.
The existing porch is gonna be redone in the same location, and then the added proposed porch around the addition is outside of the setback, so it doesn't need anything. So all we're talking about is redoing
The
so
existing,
really a maintenance of an existing, non-conforming special permit approved porch.
okay, yeah, you're not changing the height, the stairs aren't gonna, so you're still gonna be 33.9 from the setback?
To the steps, that's correct.
Okay.
What is the square footage of the house as it is today?
The existing square footage of the house, hold on. So based on the information we got from the architect, it looks like the existing total area of the home that's there now is 6,726.
That can't be
But
right, you're
that's-
only
but that's
growing to
what's on here.
7110.
No, that's right.
So the gross area, first floor is 1660, and then, let's see, upper story finished, so about 2,000, I'm sorry, I'll correct myself,
Yeah,
about
that's-
2,700 square feet, Mr.
That sounds
Chairman.
right, that sounds better.
But the total area of all attic, basement unfinished, utility room, deck, blah, 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 is 6,726.
So it's 27-ish now, and it's going to what?
7110.
7,110.
In the pool, it's also being added at this time?
Yes.
At least it's in the backyard.
And we can add a dimension as required to the pool, but if the board so wishes, I can tell them what that dimension is right now, from the pool to the house.
I think the concern is 10 feet,
Yeah.
walk-around area for any pool. Yep.
We have the technology.
If you
Yeah,
know
so
how to
from
use it.
foundation, right now, it's about, I'm scaling about 8.5 feet that we have on the plan, but you're saying if it needs to be 10, a minimum, then we can adjust the plan accordingly.
So it's 8.5 then.
Do we have a limit to the increase of FAR that we can do? Was there, is it like 100% or like, was there some upper?
Not if it's an increase in a pre-existing non-conforming FAR. So if the building is already non-conforming as to FAR, you're allowed to allow an increase, be a section 6 finding that it's not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
And no one's complaining.
And we can go 100% regardless if it was conforming.
I'm sorry, what?
We can go 100% if it is a conforming lot. This is a non-conforming lot, but if it was conforming, we can go to 100% of the FAR, right, straight
You
up.
could only go to what's allowed on the FAR. You could not go beyond what's allowed by the FAR unless you granted a variance.
Right.
Right.
But there's no, okay.
But because it's already non-conforming as to FAR, you're not creating a new non-conformity, you're just increasing the existing
Non-conformity.
non-conformity.
The existing non-conformity.
I thought the
And again, I mean, obviously, there's no neighborhood opposition. We think it's more characteristic of the neighborhood nowadays for this type of increase. This is meant to be a long-term, single-family residence for this family as the family grows. And, I mean, it's a high-end, nice project that they're planning to put out there, so.
Thanks.
What's the existing FAR?
Yeah.
Further questions or concerns?
I'm just wondering what the rest of the neighborhood looks like for square footage with this thing, with this house looking to come in at, go from 2,700 to 7,000. Is that fitting the character of the neighborhood?
House next to it on the left looks like it's a cape. And then to the right of it is another cape. Must be one that was being built, huh? That's it. And, yeah, it looks like all capes in there.
Can you look at the assessor and see if the 26, it looks a lot bigger than that.
Which one?
The house itself, what the assessor has it as for a size.
Yep.
It just looks so much bigger than that.
Property card.
I guess that's 1,000 feet right there on the proposed garage with
I have it up on the screen for you.
building above.
So first floor, oh, there's a 3/4 story. You see that?
So the living area is 3,000 square feet, 3,000, by the assessor's ruling, 3,096, and the gross area is 6,728.
Right, that's what I tried to, those are the numbers that I was trying to explain earlier.
Yeah, no, it just doesn't look to me to be 2,700 square feet.
There's a
Doesn't
picture of
seem
the
to-
house on the assessors, I don't know, I have a picture of it, I don't know if you do.
We have, I don't know if there's a picture,
It's
but
a
there's
colonial,
definitely
yep.
a layout. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Modern colonial.
Yeah, colonial, two-car garage with dormer over the garage.
And living space there. That's the 3/4 room, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Just to clarify, what is the square footage of the addition itself?
4,000?
The total addition is 7,110. So if we did the math,
Oh,
That's like
the
4,000
addition is-
more.
yeah, so it's not like we're asking for 7,000 more. So if we got 6,726 and we're going to 710,
394 feet.
I ask because we
yeah, so
typically
we're
spell
told
that
we're-
out in the special
So
permit.
really, when you talk about this house to the new house, it's addition of 384 or 94 plus the pool of like 580, something like that. 16 and 1 is, so probably a difference of 964 square feet from existing to proposed.
Thought process there is you're absorbing the deck into house now is what
That's
you're saying.
correct. The deck and the part of that, I don't know, is a family room. What's the part of the house of the very far left being used? A family room.
That's going to be absorbed in the addition.
That's correct.
I got you. And it's a front porch, rear porch, and a two-car garage, a single-car garage.
Where's that family room on your colored?
The hash lines.
Yeah, the hatched area.
That is the deck and the family room.
Okay, I thought that was all deck.
No, it's deck,
Okay.
Deck
partly
and
deck
family
and a
room.
family, it says existing house and deck.
You can see it in the picture, Steve. If she
Yeah,
pulls it
yeah.
down, you can see it off to the left.
It says deck right.
Right there. Any other questions, Mr. Chairman?
I think there's still some deliberating going on individually. I don't personally have any.
I guess to me, it feels a lot bigger than the other stuff around it, but if no one is here to
Listen, I mean, it's a very big lot. It seems, from the actual Stevens and Middlesex Turnpike roadway, it's pretty set back.
Yeah, the lot size
I know the
is
frontage
what,
is a little
30
deceptive,
About
but that's.
33,000 square foot lot.
It does sit far off the street, if you look at a street view.
That's a good.
Yeah. You can see it, that must have been when it was constructed, and you can spin that side to side to see the other houses in the neighborhood.
See that, Steve?
Yeah, I got it on here.
Okay.
It's long driveway.
Yeah.
Further questions? Concerns?
Yeah, the driveway from the street alone is about 120 feet long.
Okay. Seeing none, I suggest we close the public hearing.
Motion to close the public hearing?
Second with Peter. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
I'll make a motion to approve the special permit for 11 Old Middlesex Turnpike for section 195-9 conformity and/or 195-8 conformity for exceeding maximum building coverage, floor area ratio, front setback, and any other relief that may be deemed necessary, with full consideration for any letters that have been read into the
Application.
application.
I'd like to second that.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous?
Thank you very much,
Good luck
Mr.
with it.
Chairman. Thank you very much, members of the board.
See you too.
Our next public hearing is 13 Stern Street. We have a request to continue to June 1st. If I could get a motion to
Make a
continue.
motion to continue to June 1st without any testimony taken today.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Opposed? Unlikely.
Okay,
Next is 42 Woodbine Street, Michael J. Welch, on behalf of Richard and Denise Roberts, requesting a,
Brian, before you move on to that, on 13 Stern Street,
I'm sorry, yeah,
because that's a variance, you're under the 100-day time period to act. So if necessary, just make
you
sure.
should get the letter.
Reach out to get an extension letter, yes.
Okay.
Will we
That
run
goes
out
in the
before the
motion.
next meeting?
I don't believe so.
But either way,
Close.
just
Yeah,
request the
together.
extension.
Close. I'll reach out tomorrow.
Okay. 42 Woodbine Street, Michael J. Welch, on behalf of Richard and Denise Roberts, requesting a special permit under Section 195-61 for construction of an addition for a limited accessory apartment, LAA, and any other relief deemed necessary. This property is located in the Residential B District, parcel ID map 41, block 140, lot 51. We have someone representing the Roberts.
We received a request for continuation.
Oh, you know, I saw it, but I thought it was, okay, so we have another request for continuation for 42 Woodbine Street, and I don't believe we've taken testimony.
Yes,
42, we have.
we have.
So who sat on that? I just want to make sure for the next one we have them. Well, I don't know
I'll
if you have
give
to
you the
remember it,
list,
but we
yeah,
can say it.
I'll
Was
give
it
you the
last
list.
month?
2 months ago. Yeah, you were here for that one. That was the
It's your vacation there.
in-law apartment. That was 1,400 square feet. You were here for that one.
I think we'll speak to that a little tonight.
Mhm.
And then we have another request for continuation, 11 Rainbow Ave.
Yep,
Oh,
one
I'm
at a
sorry,
time.
yeah,
So
we'll
motion.
ask for a motion for a continuance on 42 Woodbine.
I'll make a motion to continue 42 Woodbine Street to June 1st without prejudice.
Second.
Second by Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? And I could get a continuation for 11 Rainbow Ave.
I'd like to make a motion to continue 11 Rainbow Ave to June 1st without prejudice.
So before you do that, we have a little bit of an issue here. So this application requests special permits and variances, right? The continuance letter that you got from Attorney Hausler formally grants an extension of time to take action through May 31st, 2023.
June 1st is an issue.
It's outside of that time period, so
So
So we can't continue it?
No, we need another letter, right?
we
he,
need another letter, but if they don't
Right.
grant that letter, you're gonna run into a constructive approval problem.
so I made him aware of that. He wrote the email requesting the continuance and that a formal letter would follow. I'm still waiting for the
So
formal
he's already been made
letter.
aware and he's agreed to submit the letter, then I think you're fine.
Or perhaps make a motion contingent upon we receive
Contingent upon,
another.
Exactly.
Well, you
But then what
can't.
happens if
Can't
it
do that.
doesn't?
We can't do that?
Exactly. Well, you can't make it contingent, because if you continue it, it's been continued. You can't turn back time and come back here and, take action within the time frame. But if Attorney Hausler has put down in writing that he will be submitting,
In an email even, right?
correct.
The email did not speak to the extension, just asked for the continuance. Let me just double check on that.
What would be the process
Other
then?
option B, to
Yeah, what's the next option?
decide without, like, to hold a hearing without them, like, what are
Correct.
the
I
alternatives?
mean, and that's not a great alternative. The special permit requests, you're not under the gun. The law there is that you have to render a decision 90 days after you close the public hearing,
Anybody got a cell phone number?
but it's
Dave?
it's
Doug's
100
number?
days
Anybody got it?
I don't.
I think it
from the
might
date
be.
of application.
I don't.
Now, this says they grant an extension. I mean, I'm going to guess,
Let me see.
I don't know when this application was filed, but I'm going to presume
He's already
that
extended.
absent it, yeah.
So if he doesn't give the extension, we'd have to, like, hold an emergency session sometime before May 31st, and
You'd have to advertise it, though.
You would not have to advertise it. You could continue, I mean, you could basically schedule another session now, prior to June 1st.
that's
And if necessary, you could.
We could add, I have only his office number, I don't have his cell, so I would interrupt his evening if I thought it would make things easier. So we should schedule another meeting, and if he sends us the letter, we could cancel that meeting. That would protect us.
No, you would still, you would need to, at
I'm gonna excuse
minimum,
myself for calling.
have a quorum come here and continue that meeting to June 1st.
Okay. I do have a number here I'm gonna try. I think I'll excuse myself from the room to do it, though. As we're on video. But if he'll send us an email now, we'd be fine, right? Yeah. And we still have some time to do.
Sorry, Bonnie.
Do you have any hold music we could play for the,
Jeopardy music.
Why don't you,
Hey, Charlie,
Yes.
do you have a story?
You know, I keep thinking about stories and what kind of stories I should tell. Why don't I tell a story about like Pearl Harbor or something?
Were you,
Would that, but that would have nothing to do with planning board or board of appeals.
I was more looking for a in-person Charlie story. Last time I was at the.
I had a good story about I was on library commission for one term. And we had an interesting debate one evening, but it has nothing to do with zoning.
Did they put a pool in their front yard by any chance?
I can tell you afterwards.
Stump Charlie, I'm sorry.
I can tell you afterwards why I
Oh.
voted no.
While we're on break, I'm gonna excuse myself for a couple of minutes.
Because I don't think we should be
Daughter's texting
discussing
me
it now.
I've been
Because she wants food.
incessantly, right?
Correct.
One after another.
Right, Nancy?
So,
Sure,
She
I'll
said
listen
she's gonna
to
text
any
message
stories you
9
want to tell.
No, any stories?
Any
I don't think
story.
you're supposed to say that.
So she's having
We
my
haven't
son
gotten
pick
stories
something
in a
up, but
while.
he's calling places and there's nothing open.
Ah.
So he's going to Jimmy's Pizza, and she's like, I don't want Jimmy's.
That's what you're dealing with right now?
That's what I'm dealing with right now.
Guess I could look at the minutes.
The brick house is open, is there a kitchen?
They weren't answering their
Oh,
phone.
yeah, because they don't want them.
I know where Dougie Hauser has breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning,
How do you know that?
because I used to have coffee with him all the time. K&J's restaurant.
I love
Littleton
K&J.
Road.
Where?
K&J,
Where's that?
across from Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, yeah. No dice?
He didn't answer his phone. I left him a text as well. We have a little time, so we can just continue this and move on to that. Sound like a plan? Just for now and see if he calls?
Yeah.
With apologies, I'll turn my ringer back on, so if he calls, I do hear him. So can I get a motion to continue?
No, you don't
Back
want to
it
continue, you
again.
just want to hold, you're going to hold
Just
off,
to
right?
Continue it till, I don't know, it's 9:30
Second
already.
call?
Yeah, just,
Yeah, you
we don't need a motion
Yeah,
for that. Okay. So we can do the debriefing, I guess, on Articles 19 and 20. Maybe we'll just wait back for that.
I could see Dougie Hauser at 6 in the morning if you want.
That's not going to help.
Yeah, yeah. He might return.
That's not
Don't
gonna
want to
help.
wait here
right?
until 6.
Not
Yeah.
gonna help.
Well, I think we could, I mean,
Sleeping here. I love you guys, but.
is it probable to set up a hearing without planning on going? So we're protected?
He said we need a quorum to
You're going to need a quorum to come and actually continue it to June 1st.
I mean, so we're kind of at risk if we go past the 100 days, right?
Correct.
If we set a hearing to go to, we would have to have a quorum to have the meeting.
You would have to have a quorum to continue it as well.
To continue too, right.
If you don't, then you have to re-advertise. Which
We're
you
saying
wouldn't be
we would
able
have
to-
a quorum on I don't even know what day we'd pick. But say the 18th of May. But the hope would be to not continue it to that point, to get Doug to send the email extending it, and then we don't have to worry about it. If he doesn't
Before
send
you
it,
finish tonight.
we're hoping that happens. But if it doesn't
Right,
happen.
But if it doesn't, you continue it to a date certain, and we
That's
get a hold
before
of
the-
Doug
the
afterwards.
30th or the 31st.
Get the extension passed May 31st.
And then we don't need that meeting.
And then
Still
you
have to
will
show
only
up.
need to show up, you would need 3 members to show up and vote to continue
Continue.
to June 1st.
So on the 18th, we would have 3 members that could come in if that is, well, we won't worry about it till we wait a while. We'll see if he calls. So Becky's back. Do you want to talk about the town meeting debriefing?
I have a question about that debriefing. I realize Article 19 passed and Article 20 failed.
Correct.
Can we bring Article 20 back to the town meeting in the fall?
It needs to be simpler. Nobody understood what it was all about.
Right, right. I could not be there. My mom was sick. There was no way around it.
And
I don't think I would have made a difference, but
It
I would
started
have.
to go downhill when they asked the question. Evan showed a picture of a house that
We thought the visuals would be
became,
helpful.
well, the first one was fine. The second one was of a house, and he said this became a two-family. I think a duplex. From that point on, the whole discussion was about two families in Chelmsford.
As
And no
we
matter
saw
who
tonight, there's
said,
a lot of
no matter
opposition
who said, this article has nothing to do with two families, nobody heard it.
Nobody heard that, yeah.
It just snowballed right through that way, the whole time.
That actually came up during the planning board hearing as well. So that was going to happen. It was inevitable.
Do you think we could word it in such a way that we could be clear about that if we,
There were people that got up and spoke and said that if there was language in there that prevented it from being used to convert to two-family, then people would be fine with it.
right, I mean, the language that's in there is, it's in there pretty solidly. It's its own article, so. Pre-existing.
But nobody understood it. It was just too much language.
I would think we could try it again. I mean, it wouldn't.
And I
it
mean,
wouldn't
most
hurt.
people voted for it, but it didn't, it had to reach a certain level. It didn't reach that level. That was all.
Oh, I thought it was 55, 77.
Two-thirds. It was 79,
But
55.
you need a two-third majority.
Two-thirds.
I see.
And it was short of that. So Article 19, there was some discussion about this with Evan. There was some concern that this language would actually have allowed the creation of new nonconformities under this language, but I don't interpret it in that way. So the language says, special permit for nonconforming single and two-family residential structures. In the event the building commissioner determines that a by right building permit cannot be issued per section E, as the nonconforming nature of such structure would be increased by the proposed reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change, or a new nonconformity created, the Board of Appeals may, by special permit, allow such reconstruction, extension, alteration, or change where it determines the proposed modification will not be substantially more detrimental than the existing nonconforming structure to the neighborhood. So that second listing did not include or new nonconformity. So I don't see this as intending to allow new nonconformities to be authorized via special permit.
And it has passed, so. that,
And this has passed.
Now, is that where it gets reviewed by the Attorney General?
It does
and
get
then
reviewed by the
confirmed
Attorney
to be-
General, correct.
No, I mean, they'll review it, but I think that's probably okay.
Yeah, no, but there was some question as to whether or not this could be interpreted to allow new nonconformities to be authorized via special permit. But I don't interpret it as such.
Okay.
So can I just ask for clarity so I understand when folks come in with their applications? So in terms of what was just passed with 11 Old Middlesex Turnpike, they're creating, wasn't that creating a nonconformity of the floor area ratio?
It was
And
it was increasing a pre-existing nonconformity, which you can do through a section
But the-
6 finding.
I thought the only nonconformity they had was the frontage.
But it's a nonconformity.
No, but you.
Isn't it specific to which you're dealing with?
Correct.
That's
I mean,
what I'm
I was looking at the
confused
chart here, and it says provided. It's 21.2 max building coverage and 0.32 max floor area ratio, which are both non-conforming. Is this provided section not dealing with the current? And generally, when you see this sort of table, it's talking about what's being proposed and what's required.
And the single asterisk is existing non-conforming.
Because they didn't provide the
And the second asterisk is special permit from the zoning board of appeals required,
He's saying
which
he
was the,
thought this was
the
existing.
porch area.
So Becky's saying the column under provided is the proposed result after they do their,
Completed to be 21.4%.
Which is why they have the asterisk, special permit required.
So what the board can do, I mean, Beck, what you can do is inform the applicant that it's come to our attention that what they've done is actually creating a new nonconformity. The board has already voted to grant the special permit. I think they should consider coming back in here and requesting a variance because they are liable to challenge by anybody who wants to request zoning enforcement from the building commissioner for a period of 6 years, even after even after you construct with a permit, with a building permit, you're subject to zoning enforcement for zoning infractions for a period of up to 6 years. So if they want to be safe, they should come back in and request the variance.
For the FAR.
Correct, and the lot coverage.
Yeah, because without getting into a specific, there's another continuation that we have that we were waiting on a call for. That this is the very reason why the board was stumped and couldn't vote to approve was because of the percentage lot coverage maximum and exceeding it, even though it was a non-conforming lot, I believe. So it falls within the same category, doesn't it?
The setbacks too, I think, were an issue on that, weren't they? Was that rainbow you're talking about?
Oh,
And I think
right.
it was very close.
Didn't they change it, though, to meet the 20% reduction?
Don't remember.
Or no?
I don't
Okay.
remember.
I forget too. I don't want to get into a
Yeah.
Right, no,
a hearing
going
that's
down,
not
we-
open,
We can't
but-
really discuss that.
Right. Okay.
All right, so any other questions on Article 19 and 20?
More were raised than answered.
Yeah, so, because that's the biggest question that remains now in terms of, and I know Evan had put that out there as a question mark for the board. Moving forward, how do Jose and I proceed when people come to the office and ask about exceeding the FAR and the percentage lot coverage? Obviously, that got voted down in terms of increasing the maximum allowable.
So if they have existing nonconformities as to FAR or lot coverage, those can be increased with the Section 6 finding. If they're currently conforming, then you can't increase.
Interesting.
I mean, you can go up to the limit, but you cannot go
it's-
beyond.
It's sort of backwards.
Isn't it? Yeah.
If you've already exceeded it, you
You've
can
already
do worse.
exceeded, you can still exceed it further,
That's-
but
That's
if
how it is.
you're
how
conforming
the
lot,
case
you
law
can't go
works,
over
yep.
by a fraction of a decimal.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
hypothetical case, if somehow a group came in and got voted a special permit by accident, hypothetically speaking, and came back for a variance to correct said erroneous special permit, if the variance didn't pass and they already had the special permit, would those people in this fictitious world be able to build based on that special permit?
This doesn't sound like a pure hypothetical. But that being said, again, if the special permit has been issued I believe that they would be granted a building
Building
permit
permit.
and be allowed to move forward.
And that group would just be at risk of future
Zoning
litigation.
enforcement. Yep.
Just a question on the matter, council, and even though the special permit has been granted
Hypothetically.
by the board, does the building commissioner has the authority to challenge the board and appeal that decision?
Yes. And I mean, in fact, that's what we will be discussing
Right.
in the executive session. That is what happened on Second Lane. You took an appeal of a
Right.
notice of constructive approval that was not issued by the board, but claimed against the board.
Right, because just to take that one step further from what Stephen was saying, hypothetically, if someone were to come back and ask for a variance, historically, this board only issues variances if there's a specific legal hardship.
Yep.
So they may not,
Get the variance. Hypothetical.
based on historical.
Historical in the hypothetical situation
Right.
that we were speaking of. So I guess getting back to reality, I'm guessing Doug's not going to call.
He has not, that I know.
So, when I wrote Doug the email, I specifically mentioned the expiration date. That's not it, hold on just a second.
So I guess the proper thing to do, though, we can go into executive session, we're
Yeah.
gonna come out to adjourn, right?
Correct.
We can wait it out, it's not gonna change anything.
Well, no, once it's already been advertised that you will not return
Yeah.
to.
Oh, I see, yeah, absolutely, right, okay. So I guess we're gonna need 3 people to show up on the 18th regardless. If that day, if we have 3, I can show up on the 18th, if 2 others can.
I've got a question about, excuse me, about that. If we continue it to June 1st, right now, and then say, if we don't hear from Doug by,
Can't do that.
you can't create a new session between now and June 1st?
No, because
to
you've,
advertise.
because you've continued it to June 1st. You
Okay.
cannot,
You can't change it.
you can't go backwards and have a meeting before then because
Okay.
there's no notice. And, I mean, unless, again, you do a new public notice, in which case
Gotta
you
advertise,
don't have enough time.
notify
Yeah,
abutters.
It's 2 weeks. Right.
Okay.
I mean, can 2 other people here make it on the 18th for a hopefully open and closed meeting?
Yeah, right now I can.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can too.
Okay, so, I mean, we just need the 3, but if we got 4, we'll know. So I'd suggest we continue it till May 18th at 7 PM, and we hope to get the letter from Doug. We show up, we continue it, and we move on. If not, we're gonna continue it anyways, right? I mean, we wouldn't have testimony on the 18th.
Correct. Well,
You can't continue it if he doesn't give.
if he
the
doesn't give you
extension.
the extension, yeah, you would have to
Close it.
close the public hearing. And then you would have
Certainly wouldn't be
14
in his-
days from
Right,
then.
but that wouldn't be in his, there'd
Correct.
be no good reason for him to do that. It would only be counterproductive for him. Anything can happen, I suppose. I guess I have to ask if you'll be able to attend on the 18th as well.
May 18th, I believe so.
It's a Thursday, we're not held to that.
Thursday.
Just seemed to be the best day of the week that we're used to.
I should be able to.
If he doesn't respond and we have this meeting on the 18th, what would be the outcome of that meeting?
We would have to close the public hearing.
And we would have to vote.
Can you vote with only 3 for,
No,
Oh, no.
so that's
I
my,
don't think.
But
I don't-
we're not closing the whole hearing, we're closing the public hearing.
You're not closing to vote, you're just closing the hearing.
Well,
Oh,
you
it's
would
only
have to
vote
render a
all in,
decision within
and then-
14
Yeah.
days.
Which
And they were
June
meeting on the
1st would
1st.
be.
The 18th,
Oh,
But you wouldn't be
wow.
getting any
No,
more
it wouldn't be.
information from the applicant.
which would not be in his
Correct.
best interest.
Okay.
Yeah.
so.
I
at
mean,
that-
I don't foresee a circumstance where.
It is 14 days till the 1st, too.
Right.
So,
I don't foresee a circumstance where you're not granted an extension here.
okay, I think we're doing our best to accommodate everything.
Right, it's very unlikely.
Paul, is there any
Unusual.
limit to how many extensions can be granted?
No.
Okay.
Well, can I ask, see, on this 11 Rainbow Ave, they wanted Article 20 to pass.
Right.
So are they waiting for the fall on this? Do you know?
They might
Paul?
just have to withdraw at that point.
I don't know, but, yeah, and again, that is also variances, but you got an extension on that one? Yeah.
I did.
So you would just
Till
have to
May
keep
31st.
getting extensions, or at some point, you know, if you
Withdraw
feel like
without
it's.
prejudice and,
Right. If you feel, or if they won't do that, you know, at some point, if you feel like the continuances are getting a little bit overboard, you might decide to just move forward and
Yeah.
deny the petition.
Whatever, yeah.
Or vote and
or
decide the
vote,
outcome,
vote.
yeah.
Okay, but then we don't have another meeting before May 31st, so.
That's why we're meeting on the 18th.
I thought you were talking about another one that had the same problem. Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
No, the other one, we have the extension.
Yeah, that's what okay. I thought we switched.
So should we I'll make a motion to approve 11 Rainbow Ave to May 18th?
Continue?
No.
No.
Continue.
Continue.
Wait,
Is
but-
that what I said? It's late.
11 Rainbow
Past
Ave is
9:30.
going to
That's
June
my bedtime.
4th, June 1st, right?
11
It-
Rainbow is the one that we were discussing, that the extension of,
Oh, that's the one that
extension
we
for
need
time
to
to
do.
act
Okay.
expires May 31st.
May 30th.
It's the other variance. Okay.
Motion to continue 11 Rainbow Avenue to May 18th.
Second.
Second with Peter?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
Now the
I-
phone will ring, you watch.
The only other thing is figuring out a meeting room, if this one's not available. We'll sort that out.
Ah.
Seriously?
Ah, it's my sister.
Oh.
You could have reopened the hearing.
Oh, that would have been great.
Okay, so now I need a motion to go into executive session?
Well,
Don't we have
One more
LAA
discussion.
we- I mean, I don't know to what extent we need to have this discussion. I had some back and forth with Evan. He doesn't really think that there are any issues here. Jose, I don't know if you've got concerns. The limited accessory apartments discussion.
The only concern I have based on our last meeting, can I use one of the addresses that we mentioned here tonight?
We can't, I believe, and we can ask Paul, but we can't discuss the address in particular because it's still an open hearing
But
that was continued.
I can talk about the topic without discussing the address.
Right, you just need to
Yeah.
talk about the
So,
standard for all, really.
standard for all. So some applicants, they are going around the 750 square feet requirement, and instead of calling it an LLA, now they're calling it additions. So they, on my end, once I review and I don't have grounds to deny the application as an addition, I think this is a little loophole that needs to be resolved, because discussing with Becky and Evan.
It really ends up being the definition of an LLA. What was considered was the kitchen, the second kitchen, and that was, I think Paul decided it was illegal to deny a second kitchen by right. It was,
So it's
a
not,
second
it's not,
kitchen can
it's
be
not
by
really
right.
based on kitchen, it's not, like, if somebody add in an addition, there is not, a code on my end, unless a bylaw that prohibit people from having two kitchens. So the situation that I'm trying to bring to your attention is that I'm working with a situation right now in which the applicant decided not to go, not to come back for an LLA, because they said we want to do an addition, and this is how we're gonna reconfigure the space now. So it's not longer an LLA, now it's an addition, it's bigger, and I don't have ground to deny.
That's how I understood it. I mean, the leverage point before, I think, was the fact that a second kitchen was not allowed, so you could add as many bedrooms as your septic system would allow, really. And you can add bathrooms all day, it doesn't matter. So if you're adding a kitchen was the pivot point to create an LLA.
That's what I thought.
I think that's the argument we're facing, or the reality.
But then there is, I don't know if town council can input into the matter, any case law. I think it was, I don't even know if it was Ernie Bach or situation like that.
Ernie Buck, not Ernie Buck Jr., which I always thought it was Ernie Buck Jr.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
So I think, I haven't been able to find the Ernie Bach case online. I'm not sure what court it came from. However, I
Martha's
believe
Vineyard, I
that,
think
I
it
believe that
was.
my partner actually represented Ernie Bach in that matter. His recollection of that was that was based upon a bylaw in Edgartown, and that it's, doesn't have general application throughout the state. So I think that the prohibition against two kitchens is probably still valid, although I don't see anything specific
In the zoning,
law.
it's not mentioned.
Right.
If I came in today and wanted to put a second kitchen in, would that be acceptable to you? Whether an outdoor kitchen or even an indoor kitchen?
I don't have ground to
You
deny.
don't have grounds to deny it. So there's nothing in zoning or general law to stop you from having a second kitchen.
People
So
put
the
kitchenettes.
argument is you come in and you say, I want to have a second kitchen, I want to have X number of bathrooms, I want to have X number of additional bedrooms, X number of garages, and there's no practical way to deny it. I think
For
that's the
myself, when
trouble.
applicants come in and ask questions, one of my main questions in order to decipher between one and the other is, what if it distinctly looks like two separate living quarters? So it's not a continuation of the main dwelling, but actually looks like separate living quarters. Isn't that the point of why the LA was established, to have a maximum of a certain square footage?
Are we
that it
required
can
to have an
become?
open area? Like, are we, if you put a door on it, it's separate, and if it doesn't, I mean, how come you can have a 10-bedroom house, you can have 2 kitchens, you can have 4 garages, all the other restrictions still apply, the FAR, the setbacks, the dimensional requirements, that's all in play.
But
how do we distinguish?
essentially, if somebody is allowed to come in and just put in a second kitchen and create essentially a separate living space, it really begs the question as to why the LAA bylaw is necessary.
I think the leverage we had was the second kitchen before, when we created it, you were the chair. And we
I was never the
thought,
chair.
yes, sir,
No,
of the Board of Appeals?
no,
Really?
yeah. John Blake was the chair. I chaired
When
the,
John Blake
I
had
chaired the
to
Mill
step
Road
down
40B
tragically,
hearing
right, right.
because John,
You were my chair, that's, I met John Blake one night, I think, and then he, I think his wife had some health issues.
did. And then Len Richards was vice chair.
And then he stepped into the chair, yeah. when you were on. So anyways, yes,
As I had told you earlier on the phone, I did a cursory study of our neighboring towns and the state in
Yes.
terms of accessory dwelling units. By far not intensive look, but generally. The state does have document referring to them and what's allowed as far as square footage, and they say it has to be no more than 900 square feet or a percentage of the initial home. Westford had that rule in place, changed it, because, a lot of the houses were built, 24 by 42 splits, X amount of space, and then someone comes in and builds a 7,000 square foot house, and if it's 1/3 of the original house, you can have an LAA of 3,000 square feet, which makes no sense. So they changed their rule to mirror the state at 900. Billerica went up. You said originally Chelmsford was the same as Billerica because they didn't know what to do.
I think that was what we did our diligence and decided, well, Bill
And
Rooker
they're-
sounds right.
They increased theirs to 800 square feet.
Another 50 feet.
The rules in Chelmsford, there's a lot of verbiage about LA apartments, all right? And I'll give you the documents, because I got them, what the language is in each town. Billerica has a little language, very small, 5 lines. Westford came to town meeting and changed everything. You would think Westford is kind of an uppity town. They're wide open. You don't have to be connected to an existing structure.
Really? So you can have two?
If you don't even have to be a relative. If a unit, let's say there's in-laws living in it and they die, the property can be rented. And it was all,
That's gonna work
and
for
there's a town meeting where this all took place. I'm gonna watch the video of that town meeting. It must be pretty wild and woolly.
Yeah.
But they did it under basically under the terminology. I would guess this is what came down. And they felt that the reason that they didn't want to force people to shut them up or make them part of the house, well, there's no way to track it and no enforcement. And if you couldn't do that, why bother? Why make it a nuisance for people? So they relaxed the rule. But they said that, overall, it would create additional opportunities for residents to continue to live in Westford or provide people who otherwise are not able to afford to live in the town the ability to do so. That was the overriding consideration of why they passed these sweeping rules.
When was that?
What?
Do you know when it was done?
Yeah, it was, and I'll give it to you, you can send it out to everyone.
That'd be great, thank you.
But that was done, the original bylaw was done March 12th, 1955. It was amended at town meeting. October 17, 2022. So from that, it would seem that perhaps one of the things that we do at the next town meeting is propose some changes to make it more, because I can tell you that the town's committee on recommendations on affordable housing is also looking at the same issue. That it's a way to increase the housing stock for people who want to stay in town who can't afford to be here.
That was, I mean, the point of that is
That was-
generational care as well, but that was the
I mean,
goal we had.
You heard a number of people who were saying in the presentations tonight that they intend to live there forever. Nobody is going to live in their house forever. Soon enough, you're going to get too old to live in it forever. And you're going to want to do something, or your relatives will want to do something. And it's really designed for that.
He's not talking about you, Charlie, don't worry.
Oh, he's too old for that. But it would seem that, because you were questioning the people who came in and they said it's 950 square feet, and then they sat in the chair and figured out it was
Yeah,
1,400.
I don't know if it was Becky or Nancy that pointed that out. That was really,
And,
was careless.
you know, you were questioning that. The, Billerica pointed out that there's a law by the State Board of Health that says you need 350 square foot per person.
really.
Yeah.
I think 750 is very suitable for a single grandma, grandpa, whatever the case may be. When you put 2 people in that space, it's just not enough. I mean, it just, you know.
So that's why I say it may be something that you want to look at from the standpoint of updating the current guidelines to make it more effective.
Which is town meeting, unfortunately. That's the only process.
Which is also planning board, right?
Correct, you have to go through planning board.
So
Get
I'm
their
glad he's
endorsement.
here.
We would apply for, just like we did on the last 19 and 20. But the end of the day, it's the town meeting.
Correct.
So, I guess in your opinion, today, if someone comes in, are they required to apply for an LLA? I mean, how does Jose and Becky respond to that? Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
And I know it's actually your purview, it just,
I mean, I still think that the 2 kitchen prohibition would be applicable, although, Mr. Chairman, you know, when you mentioned outdoor kitchen, I don't know how you
define
prevent somebody from doing that, so.
Like a grill, I mean, that's outdoor kitchen, isn't it?
But the
Inside the
definition,
Not living
so the
space.
town does define a kitchen, right? And it says here, a place for the preparation of meals, having a stove in either or both a sink and a refrigerator. But if you go to the, excuse me, to the definition of an LLA, it says that consisting of provisions for bathing, cooking, and sleeping. Somebody can cook with a microwave. You don't need a stove.
George Foreman grill.
You still have a kitchen. I think this section needs to be reconciled a little bit. Another one is if you go to 195.6.1, the beginning, section A3, which it says to assure that the limited accessory apartment shall not be converted to a rental unit. But then if you go to section C5, and it says the LLA shall not be rented to or occupied by persons who do not qualify as extended family members. But how are you going to prove an extended family member?
You can rent it to your family, by the
So-
way it's written, right?
Huh?
The way it's written, you're interpreting is that you can rent it out if they're
Yes.
extended family.
Yes.
And that's how I
And
interpret it
if
too,
you
when
go
I
to
read
the
it.
definition of extended family, it could be somebody related by blood, marriage, or adoption. So if you're renting to somebody and you want to enforce, because the neighbor complained that the apartment is rented, and the person tells you, well, he's my adopted, it's,
Each town has their own definition, including the state, has their own definition. Eating, sleeping, one of them says privacy, you have to have privacy. Another one says security.
Yeah.
They all have their own take of exactly what
Do you
is
think that
defined.
working with Evan, you could come up with another application to the town meeting to define this to your,
I can bring this to everyone's attention to see if we can come up with some sort of a better interpretation of the LLA and applicability.
maybe we can define it and add it to the zoning, which, it doesn't happen quickly, and sometimes not at all, so,
What we're talking about is coming up with objective evidence that would make you deny someone an application for expanding their home because you're saying this looks like it's an LAA, so
yeah, this
you
is
can't get that.
problematic,
You
yeah.
have to go through,
Right.
Creating
that
an
sounds
apartment.
challenging to,
Yeah.
Define and implement.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean-
difficult for Jose.
because, I'll make the doorway really wide now and then just,
15 minutes later, we'll put a door on it,
With a
right?
lock.
You know, I'll give you an example. We had a situation tonight where a lot of people talked about how they didn't like the thing up on Bartlett. Okay, if one of those people
Can we-
had,
Can we have this discussion?
Yeah, great.
this is just in a general sense. Just
hypothetically.
talking about it as a general area where you had neighbors espousing the same views. And you had one of those neighbors who, let's say, had a son who was older in his 30s, and everything was fine, and all of a sudden, and he had a wife and maybe a child, but in his 30s, and he all of a sudden developed MS, couldn't function. And the family wanted to build him a accessory apartment, and every town has its own name for it, but some
Right,
call it
right.
in-law apartments, accessory dwellings, limited accessory apartment, whatever you want to call it. Would the neighbors all be up in arms if they wanted to do it for that reason?
You're right, it's, I mean,
Not that
in
it
a
might
lot of
be
ways, the neighbors,
someone who they didn't like.
they control that detrimental to the neighborhood, but if it's, the tenets of a variant, that it really doesn't apply, because that's not part of the variance process.
But it is to the neighbors in concern of that they like it or they don't like it.
Yeah, detrimental to the neighborhood. I don't know, I definitely understand Steve's point, I mean, I don't know how you define it so that you can control it. I don't know that we're able to control it right now. Yeah, Jose does not feel he is, and that's really the, you know, the people coming here
And it's gonna be coming
after
up more
seeing
and
him.
more. I mean, it's not gonna get smaller, it's gonna get bigger.
Yeah, yeah.
As prices in towns.
And I'm a huge fan of generational living. I think it's very important to be able to do that, and I think it's a great way of life. I think that your grandchildren can see their grandparents, and it's, there's a lot of pluses to it, so you have to weigh the, you know, the good and the bad. I think it's important.
I think it'll take a lot of thought, because it's gonna have to be measurable, and whatever you put for measurements, if you say the hallway has to be no greater than 8 feet.
Right, you've gotta be able to
They're gonna
define
make it
it.
8 feet and 1 inch, or, you know, no less than 8 feet, it'll be, they'll, and then you can, without the building permit, go and put a door there, because you now, like you wanted a door.
And once the front door is shut, they don't have to let Jose back in. There's no, you know.
Right. One thing that I do, for example, the one I've been speaking, Becky and I were well aware of the one I'm speaking about. I think this is the second one that I have issued a permit, and then I have said on the permit not to be used as an apartment, not to be used as an LLA, subject to removal. And then I also.
The other issue is enforcement. How do you
Right.
enforce it?
Right, and the only way sometimes you can enforce it if somebody complains, the neighbor complains, that's how you basically get to the place. Otherwise, you know, once you issue that permit, and I have no right to really encroach into people's personal space.
Is anyone aware of a time when the town of Chelmsford has made someone remove a part of their house?
Have they?
We did. It was that screen porch for that poor woman on San Medio.
Yeah, but did it actually happen? Like, I know we said that.
That was on.
Well, if you do, in the building code, if you do work without permit and it's deemed to be dangerous, the building official can order you to take it down.
Yeah, but has it happened? Like, have we actually executed that at some point in the last 50 years, that someone put an addition and we said, dude, we told you had 14 feet, you made it 18 feet.
There is a foundation off Mill Road in the middle of the woods. Right, have you seen it?
It's supposed to be taking that down.
It's gone.
Oh, it's
I think
gone?
it's
Are you
gone now.
kidding?
I think it is. I remember going by going, how did that happen, you know, and then,
He put, I don't know how it went. It was way before my time, but
yeah.
they put the foundation in to build a house, and they put a stop work order in, and it sat there.
It does happen. I mean, there have been structures, not necessarily here in Chelmsford, but there have been structures throughout the state that have been in violation of zoning that have been ordered to be removed, and I'm talking $1 million homes even.
If it is a legal, approved by the board, an LAA, and the relatives live in it for 10 years, they die. To Steve's question, have we ever made them tear it down?
Oh, no, I don't think it's required. They
Just
just
take
can't
out the
rent
oven or
it.
something, isn't it?
You can't rent it.
You can't rent it, but other people could live in, that would, in the family,
Actually,
right?
People can do all
relatives
kinds of,
could live in
Yeah, I'm
it.
sure they do, right?
secret deals.
Oh.
And that's
Move
the
around a
rea-
little
and
more,
that's the
John.
reason Westford did what they did. They said, we can't enforce it.
Yeah.
Doug wrote okay.
How do
too.
you, to their point, that's
It is
pretty
an
good.
enforcement.
That's all I wrote
He
down.
had said formal letter to follow, but
I mean,
Didn't
and does
address the
anybody
timeline.
really care that much if,
I.
you know,
it
you
was
have your
applied to
family
me,
living
it was
with you,
okay,
right?
but
I mean,
didn't
in the
put words in
general,
his mouth.
That's
you
what I
know.
wrote him.
if you, it's your mom, dad, and, you know, and they're living with you because you have a big house, and you decide to put a kitchen in, does it hurt anything
Is
or
that in
anyone?
writing?
Sorry, that was gonna sneeze.
Is that in
Right.
writing?
It seems like most people follow the laws.
Yeah.
That's-
Mr. Haverty,
Brian.
Doug wrote
Paul.
okay.
What's that?
That's it.
Response to what?
Response to,
Can you ask him?
Well,
to be
actually,
more
can you see if you got an email from him?
uh,
I said specifically, what we need is an email requesting the continuance extended beyond May 30th because our hearing is on June 1st.
which my initial email mentioned the deadline, and he had responded, postpone it, formal letter to follow, but I just haven't received the formal letter. Let me look.
So either way, we still have to, meet on the 18th.
No, I think,
Unless he
I
emailed
think,
her.
I think Paul said if we didn't close the meeting, we can not,
You can reopen
yeah, and then.
and continue to
Cancel, okay.
June
So
1st.
if you've got the email, I guess is the, that's all it says is okay. It doesn't say, okay, Doug, it doesn't say okay to what, so I was hoping it was okay and he'd send the email.
What was the text? Can't you just say, like, ask more specifically, like, are you agreeing to send us this?
Respond.
Extension.
Yeah.
Extension, yeah, another time extension
Very
on May 31st.
Doug, we are still at the meeting, and we would like to have confirmation that we can extend the meeting past June 1st.
May 31st.
May 31st.
Two.
Voice recognition has come a long way, because
I didn't receive the email.
10 years ago, you'd have to be like, oh, fix this word, that word, the other word. It's like,
I've learned to speak much slower, because I speak fast. It's all one word, the entire, it's just one word.
Alternatively, you could call too.
Ooh,
I did call him, he didn't answer, but he did respond to the text. And I turned my ringing on, and he did not call.
Say, please call ASAP.
Just my system. And that's not gonna be good news, so we'll wait a little while on that.
Mhm.
being a results-driven person, what is the desired outcome of this limited accessory apartment conversation? What are we?
I think we're looking to control how much house is built in town, to have some control over it. If the alleged applicant decided to build a 1,400 square foot addition and utilize it similar to an LLA, we feel a little powerless to stop them right now.
I guess more specifically, what is the desired outcome tonight? What are we, is it
I
giving
don't think we're gonna be able to do
action
anything. Maybe get an action item would
Paul
be
to
to.
say, go find some magic for how we can,
I mean, I think it's really, it was just a discussion point.
okay.
And then Jose and I can, and
Evan, perhaps.
Becky can meet with Evan and
If they opened up
try
the
to figure out what
size,
next
right?
steps are.
That might help if he opened up the size restriction instead of 750, say go 900 or whatever.
We're able to grant a waiver for any relief to that. I think the 750 is small, and I know that, Steve was talking, he said, let's start at 750, but that's actually when it arrives at our door is at 750. We know that's okay to do. We're being asked to do more than that.
Well, people might be more apt to be straightforward with the town if you had a larger area to work with, right?
Westford says 950, but they can grant more. The zoning board can grant larger under certain
Right.
circumstances.
But we're not limited to how much we grant, we
And the
just need
state,
to issue a
again,
waiver.
The
That's what
state
we need to
still
do.
has that language in that says it can be a third, 50% of the original structure as well, or 900. Westwood went with eliminating
Up
the
to
percentage.
900? They just did.
No, 900 or either one, or that it's a percentage of the original structure. But Westwood said
So
they
if
got
you had
these
a-
big houses, we don't want to have a percentage because that gets us in trouble against smaller units. It pits the little guys against the big guys. And
Yeah.
they didn't want to do that.
Any response from Doug?
Yes, you may extend beyond June 1st.
Okay.
Okay, so this is probably not being very fruitful with the LLA. Maybe we can think about it and come up with an action plan next thing, and Glenn's paper we'll be able to get a look at everything and decide how to word it. Maybe it's simply that the town zoning should have 2 indoor kitchens are required. If that's the case, you need to apply for an LLA. And we can set our own boundaries there. I know it's not a quick or fast, but we can define it. That's the question, is how do you
Wasn't the
define an
turnoff too,
LLA?
is when someone comes in with a large, so if
Yes.
the turnoff last time, if I remember without getting too, in the hypothetical, we say 750, they come in with 1,500, and you go, what? Right?
And it was
Right.
disingenuous, too. I
Right,
thought
right.
that was disappointing.
Sure,
so
sure.
I wasn't really that honest. description of it. We
Correct.
originally required an architect's stamp for the footage. I don't know if you remember that, Paul.
Yeah.
That's how, and we just, I don't even know if it actually went away, but we no longer required it. I think the cost was a little prohibitive. It's another $1,500 to get that stamped plan, and people were upset about it.
Would the town be, do you think, against, you know, opening up a little bit? You know, to-
Why don't we get Glenn's information, absorb
Yeah,
it, we can do a
okay.
little research and decide, and maybe Jose can decide how he would like to see a definition of an LLA appropriately applied, and
because
maybe we can find language that works.
If you define kitchen as part of the LLA requirement, I think we will probably, what do you call, let me see the word I'm trying to use here.
Eliminate?
Huh?
Eliminate?
No, not eliminate, but,
So the
Define.
criteria,
yeah, kind of minimize the impact of, allowing additions falling through the crack as addition when in reality they are LLA. Because if you put an addition with a kitchen, and if we kind of put this definition of a kitchen in the LLA, the minute you put
You have
now you
ammunition.
have something there that you can apply for an addition with a kitchen as defined per the bylaw. And then that will help, I think, anybody who comes in for an addition with a kitchen, well, it's an LLA, it's not an addition.
Okay.
Evan is also on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee.
Yeah.
And in true transparency, I need to say my wife is also on that committee.
Okay.
So that's how I know that they're discussing it as part of a affordability plan for the town.
It's a difficult question, and how do you manage it is the trick. So why don't we try to get together next month? We can put it on the agenda to discuss again, and if that's enough time for you, Jose, to get some sort of suggestion, then we probably look at going to the town meeting again, or the planning board, and then the finance, and the selectmen, and then the town meeting. So it's a big deal to do, but
Oh, before we forget, I'd like to change the date for Doug's.
yes.
Yeah, we have to
You're
go
gonna
back
need
to
a
11
motion to
April.
reopen.
Yeah, make a motion to reopen the public hearing.
Second by Peter, all in favor?
Yeah.
Is it?
Would be a motion to
11
cancel
Rainbow.
the continuation until the 18th of May and continue it to June 1st.
I'd like to make a motion to cancel the continuation of 11 Rainbow Avenue that was previously scheduled for May 18th, and set the new continuation date to June 1st.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Great.
That work? Paul's
that okay?
contemplating?
Yes.
It works really good when you're not here, so hopefully it works when you're here.
I was just thinking
We're all zoning
Becky's gonna have a difficult time actually categorizing
Oh my gosh.
The
the
minutes are gonna be
minutes
like a
for the-
a little
Yeah, it's
rumble.
gonna be
which
interesting.
topic, because we've been bouncing around so much.
And then we just have
That's
the
fine.
minutes.
And I guess now we would ask for
may just have
a
to
motion to go into
executive
executive
session.
session.
Oh, wait, approve minutes real quick?
Oh, minutes,
Please.
April 6 minutes.
Did everyone get a chance to look them over? If not, we can
Yeah.
I only got through
put them on the next
halfway,
agenda.
so.
Okay.
You wanna postpone
Let's-
until next meeting?
For some reason, I didn't think there were any, yeah, we could put that off until June 1st. I didn't even know we had them to approve. I don't know why I read it somewhere I didn't, I thought.
Oh, it was the revision, because when I revised the agenda, I added that in.
Okay.
Okay, motion to postpone.
I wasn't here in April, so I
A
have
minute, if we need to,
Do we need to?
we get a motion to
A motion to postpone,
the minutes till
the
June
minutes
1st.
till June 1st for April 6th. Sorry, kinda wordy.
Second? Steve, all in favor? Perfect.
Great, thank you.
Now, can
Now
I
you
get a
need a
motion to
motion
enter executive session?
Not to return.
We said that once before, I was all excited for it.
Executive session not to return.
Did we ask?
You should say for
Do
the
you wanna
purpose for
read
the
out?
executive
Yeah,
session.
just read out what's on there.
The board will enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation and potential settlement relating to the properties located at 24, 26, 28, and 32nd Lane, with no intention of returning to the public meeting ever again, except to adjourn.
Can I just say something to John? John, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Now, you're our liaison to the
You're a
planning board?
trooper, John. You stayed the whole time.
Good night,
You
John.
are.
Is that why, it was because he's a liaison? to the
Yes, he's
planning
a
board?
liaison.
I noticed
planning board.
Aaron wasn't here.
I should send her an email too and say, hey, the other liaisons are
Okay,
there.
So I abstained from this second lane stuff.
So do we ask, was I tapped on the microphone?
Oh.
Do we ask, I mean, we're going to close the taping, or is that executive session as well?
Yes, it does.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
the taping, right.
Yeah, if this is being broadcast, we should definitely stop
Yes,
the
I don't know
broadcast.
how
Yes,
that
so
works.
I can go out there and ask her to stop it.
Yeah,
but was
we're
the
done
motion
broadcast.
complete?
Oh, voted on, I'm sorry.
Roll call vote.
We need a motion to go to executive session.
Make a motion to go to executive session.
Second?
For the purpose of discussing.
For
I'll
the
make a
per-
motion to go to executive session for the purpose of discussing pending litigation and potential settlement relating to the properties located at 24, 26, 28, and 32nd Lane, with no intention of returning to the public meeting except to adjourn.
A second.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
It needs to be a roll call vote.
No.
So
Nancy?
if I'm not voting on it, can I vote to go to this
I
exec?
would just abstain. If you're,
Okay.
are you recusing yourself?
I was recused for that second
Yes,
lane.
I would, I would not vote, and I would
Okay,
just leave the room.
then you're in.
You get to go home.
Oh, I get to go home.
Stephen?
Aye. Yes.
Vote to enter executive session, is that the correct?
Yes, I vote to enter executive session.
I guess Glenn, you're supposed to say it, I'm not quite sure.
He said aye.
Aye, okay.
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Charlie?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I will go ask them to turn off the video.